initial bit that you did there at the test centre. Yeah. So you're going to talk to him about what he's done on his last lessons. Yeah. If he's had any additional practice, you know, what has he done any previous manoeuvres? You probably have that little chat and it's okay, we're going to drive to a location. So we'll assume now that we've just arrived at the location and they're going to give you the brief.
Okay, so we're at the training area now, we're going to do the turn in the road.
Alright.
Okay, why might we want to turn in the road? You think the situation might need to?
I suppose maybe if we'd gone into a dead end or something like that.
Yeah, might take the wrong turning, we need to get the vehicle turned round. What would we need to consider? We're going to turn in the road, what are the things we're thinking about before we even do that?
Not much, man.
Well, what we're going to think about is it safe to carry out the manoeuvre?
All right, right.
Are we in an area where it's legal to carry out the manoeuvre?
All right, yeah.
And convenient. So we could be on an area of double yellow lines,
Right.
could be in front of an entrance to a fire station, for example. So you don't want to be in those sort of areas. We've got to take that into consideration.
Right, okay.
So if you're in that situation, you might need to even drive somewhere else.
Right, okay.
But given that you're at a dead end, you're not going to have a lot of choice.
Okay.
So okay, so we think about the location where possible.
Right.
No choice. And what we're looking for is to get the vehicle turned round in as few manoeuvres as possible.
Right.
Because depending where you are, there could be other road users, so
Right.
we've got to take consideration for them.
Okay.
All right. So our old set, we want to go through the consequences of what we're doing 30 shunts. What impact's that going to have on you?
Nah, just keep it brief.
Yeah. Okay.
Clues on the tail. Brief.
Okay. So the key things we're looking for is car control,
All right.
observations, accuracy, and things that will help you to carry out the manoeuvre.
Okay.
Okay. So when we talk about car control, it's obviously we want to get the vehicle turned around as quickly as possible. So we need to get the steering set as quickly as possible,
All right.
but under control, because we haven't got a lot of space to deal with.
Right.
Because we're sitting here and we've got 2 and a bit times the width of a car to turn the vehicle around with. So if you remember about what we talked about in steering technique, we want to be able to use the whole of the steering. We don't want to be shuffling, otherwise you're not getting the full benefit of the steering
All
lock.
right, okay.
So as we've got in the diagram here, we want to be across as quickly as we can.
Okay.
If it's possible, do it in sort of 3 manoeuvres, or as few as possible. So we've got to get across, back, and then across to the other side of the road. To achieve that, really good clutch control, the car will be barely moving. Okay? As soon as the vehicle's moving or crawling, we want to get full right hand lock on to get to the side of the road. We stop just before the curb, so that we don't take the front of the car onto the curb. Why do you think that's important?
I'm not sure. It would help you get around a bit easier, wouldn't it?
We've got to think about, depending where we are, if it's pavement, there could be pedestrians around. The other thing to consider is that the road isn't absolutely flat. It has what's called a camber on it. So if you see in this diagram here,
Oh, yeah.
there's just a little rise in the road, what we call the crown,
Oh,
at its highest point. So as we turn, the car's going to drop down. So where the normal curb line is, the car's going to come at an angle and could impact on that curb.
Right.
And you may have seen as you drive around, sometimes you get really high curves on
Oh, yeah.
the sides of
Yeah.
the roads, especially motorway service stations, for example. But you will get some at the side of the road. So, just that brief, I'm waffling there. I've gone off my tech.
Waffle lesson continue.
Yeah. So, let's rewind.
So we'll just pause there.
We've got a 4 minutes.
That's 4 minutes and 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Now then,
And I'm so
you got
halfway across the road.
yourself involved in a little bit of Q&A in the middle of there, which,
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay, but can you see how it can lead you off?
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do is, so that's 4 minutes and 8 seconds that's taken. I'm going to reset that, and what I'd like you to do is to explain to me what you would do if you were doing it, as though you were demonstrating it live, and see what difference that makes. So just tell me what you're doing, why you're doing it. So from there to there to there to there.
Okay.
On you go when you're ready.
Okay, what I'll do, you'll get an opportunity to try this, but I'll talk you through as if I was doing it, the mechanics of what we're doing. So, we're sitting at the side of the road, and I want to turn the vehicle round. So, first off, observations. I'm just getting a view of how wide the road is and what I'm going to need to do. So, before I set off, take an effective all-round observation, looking at a pedestrian, cyclist, checking over a blind spot. I'm going to set the vehicle moving very slowly, barely crawling pace. As soon as the car's rolling, I'm going to apply full right-hand lock to get the steering on. That will allow me to go across the road. As I'm crossing the road, I will check around as well, just to see what's happening around me. There'll be vehicles that's coming off the blind side as we start the turn. And I'm going to bring the vehicle to the opposite side of the road, but not with the front of the car, not over the curb line. A couple of reasons. If it's a high curb, you don't want to make impact with the underside of the car. I'll stop the vehicle just before the curb line. Before I stop, I will put opposite lock on. So I'll take it from full right-hand lock to left-hand lock, full lock, while the car's still moving. And that's to avoid what we call dry steering. So that stops damage on the tyres and the steering mechanism. I'll stop, apply the handbrake. Select reverse gear, take effective all-round vision at the car, again to make sure it's safe to do the manoeuvre. And I'm happy with that. I'll slowly start bringing the car around towards the opposite side of the road. Keep it on full left-hand lock until we get to about 2/3 of the way across. My vision will then go to the rear right of the car, so I'll be looking through the rear passenger door window down towards the curb. And as I get towards the curb, I'll be taking the lock off and applying a slight right-hand lock. I'm not going to put full right-hand lock on because otherwise it's going to end up going like that. So just enough to get me back towards the other side of the road. I'll reverse back. Before we get to the curb, set my steering, stop, apply the handbrake, select first gear, do all-round vision checks, and slowly drive across the road, pulling up the side of the curb, my normal stopping distance, about 6 inches away from the curb. I will then select handbrake, put the car to neutral, feet off the pedals, and switch off the engine.
Tell me what you're doing for another road user, Kim.
Right, okay. If during the course of the manoeuvre we get a road user come towards us, I'll stop, put the car to neutral, and assess the situation. Try and make eye contact with him and try and understand what he's going to do. Usually they will let you carry on the manoeuvre, and he may wish to come past us, so we need to be prepared for that. So we have the car secure. If he does pass us, we make sure he's out of the way. Effective all-round observation. Select reverse gear, or forward gear if we're going forward. When it's safe to do so, carry on with the manoeuvre.
So that's 3 minutes and 19 seconds, and you're done. That's everything covered.
Did it cover everything?
Well, has it? Have a look.
I think so. It's easy to forget when you say it.
The only thing you weren't covering other road users as we
I
did.
didn't cover the camera, did I?
That's okay. So you can add those little things in, but you didn't tell me that you were going to look through the back window. Now the only difference on the reverse leg, the only difference here is you need to change that from I would to you will.
Yeah, because I'm talking it through as if I was doing it.
You're just going to say, right, and then what you'll do is you'll do this, and then you'll do this, and then this, then this, then this, then this. Okay? Clear on that? Any questions? No? Would you like to have a go at that? Oh yeah, well there's a lot to remember, so I'll talk you through it while we're doing it. Right, you're done. Now we're in the meat of it now. You've given a logical order in an easy to understand manner. You've covered all the basic points. Okay, you can add the camera, you can add that little bit in. And you've given him a plan, he knows what to do. We've covered control, observation and accuracy. Reference points we haven't got into because you might not need them yet. There are some reference points we can use if we need them. We'll point those out as we go along. You might be able to do it without, so let's try that. So you've covered getting it on a full lock. So you can even simplify it further. So, okay, I'm here and I'm about to get ready to move, so I'm going to prepare the car just as I would do normally. I've got it ready to move, I'll do my observations, all round 360 degrees. I need to make sure it's absolutely safe before I do anything. That means taking into account other road users. If there's people coming along, I'll wait and see what they're going to do. Once we're clear, I'm going to get her on a full lock as quickly as I can. We're coming uphill here and then downhill the other side because of the camber. So I'll push the clutch down and let it coast over to the other side.
Is it worth mentioning then at that point about the camber? Because most times you get an idea of how it's going to drop. So
Yeah.
just note out, before we
So
start,
like I say,
note out.
I wouldn't say, you've got to be careful that you don't get bogged down into plumbing it up with tons and tons of detail.
Because it could be a fairly flat road anyway.
You could, but if you think about it, I've said I'm going uphill side and then I'm going to go downhill, so I'm going to coast down the other side. So I'll mention the camber. As I get to this side, I'm going to switch from full right hand lock. I'm going to wait till I'm nearly at the curb and whiz it round on the full left lock. Again, keeping an eye around, get the car ready to move again. So we're on the bike, we're ready, we're held. All round observations, and before I start moving, I'll look through the back window because that's where any danger is going to be. I'll finish off any steering that I didn't get done in the first bit, so we're uphill backwards and then downhill, so I'm taking account of that, clutch down, probably using the brake. As I get near the curb, I'm going to switch from looking over my left shoulder to my right shoulder because that's the curb that's closest, and I'm going to get as much steering around as I can. Or, you know, you might need all of it, you might not need all of it, depends how much work you've done.
Yeah.
We'll finish the steering off, make the car safe, prepare it again, all round observations, and if it's safe, we'll go uphill, onto the side, pull up at this side of the road. If we need help judging where we are with the curves, there's some reference points we can perhaps help you with. You might find that underneath your odometer lines up with this curve here, and as we're going back, the bottom corner of this window here might line up with the curve. But we'll try those and see how we go. And you're done really.
Yeah.
Control, observation, accuracy, and it's dead slick, just bang, bang, bang. If we get involved, and we can get involved in Q&A, how do you think you'll do this? Well, I'm not right sure. Well, when you were doing your turn, your straight line reverse, which I said I'd done, how did you control the speed of the car? Now, once you've given them that, you say, okay, we need to be moving really slow. So just before, like you did with the emergency stop, just before we start, just show me what you mean by really, really slow. Just take it forward a few feet, using your clutch control. That's a bit quick, that. A bit slower than that. No, it's not too quick, slower than that. And take it back a little bit. Right, but that's the sort of speed. Oh, right. Never any faster than that. Oh, it's really quite slow, isn't it? Yeah. Why do you think we need to do it that slow? Not really sure. Well, because if somebody else comes on. But you've got to be very careful that you don't pad it all out. The examiner will want to move you on. He doesn't want 10 minutes spent on this. I know they say 8 minutes is a guide, and if you get a 10, they'll move you on. But they'd much rather you give them the information in a logical order, in an easy to understand manner, and then you crack on. Get used to actually dealing with that risk in a live situation.
Okay.
So have a minute to think about that, and then do you want to reset that and try it again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's still not terribly cool, is it?
No, it's a cool thing, I think, because we're underneath it, we're not getting the benefit of this.
I'll switch sides.
Yeah. You don't have to.
So whenever you're ready, let me know and I'll press the start button. So again, same scenario. We've arrived at the place.
Yeah.
You've already done this little bit. We're pre-having a go, and you're just going to give me the basics of how I'm going to do it.
Okay.
On you go.
Okay, Bob, so this is where we're going to try out the turn in the road.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think we might need to turn in the road? What occasion might we need?
That's like to turn around, isn't it? Face the other way.
Yeah. You might have taken a wrong turn somewhere. What about where we choose to actually do the turn? What would you take into account?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, think about when you pull up at the side of the road.
Oh,
What do we
right.
say it is? Safe, legal and convenient.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got to think about other road users. Be considerate to them.
Well, like blocking driveways and that sort of stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. So we'll consider that. Now, what I'll do, I'll give you a talk through as to how I would do it, and what I expect you to do in the course of the manoeuvre.
Oh, okay.
And when I've done the talk through, hopefully you understand it, and then we'll have a live go with yourself.
Oh, okay.
See how we get on with it, and I'll help you with the manoeuvre all the way through it.
All right, okay.
So I'm not just going to tell you leave you to it.
Right, okay, fair enough.
So, we found our location. Now, we need to keep the car under tight control.
All right.
So clutch control is key.
Okay.
So I'll ask you just to demonstrate to me, just to move the car forward and then reverse, so I can just see what your idea of slow speed against that.
Right.
And when we're agreed on that, and then we'll do the manoeuvre.
Okay.
So, main purpose is we want to get the vehicle turned around, and we want to do that in as few movements as possible. Why do you think that's important?
Don't know.
Well, if we're on a road where there's other road users, we don't want to be hindering them and taking lots of time up.
Oh,
Because
right.
remember, we're going to be blocking the road at
Oh,
this point.
right, okay.
So we need to consider that. So I'll talk you through it. So we're at the side of the road. I'm going to turn the vehicle round. Now, if we look at the road, it's got a very slight, what's called a camber. So the road's slightly higher in the middle than it is at the sides.
Oh, yeah, I see that, yeah.
So as we make the turn, we're actually going to go uphill very slightly and then drop down to the other side of the road. So we're doing this effect shown in the diagram.
All right, yeah.
So basically what you're going to do is you'll set the car rolling very slowly. Just as we start to roll, we apply full right hand lock. And the best use of this is using full use of the steering wheel. So we don't want to shuffle, we want to get that lock on as soon as possible, especially if it's a fairly tight road.
Okay.
You want your wheels in the right position to get us across here. So very gently, before we set off, you carry out your normal pre-movement checks, all-round observation, shoulder check, and then we'll start the manoeuvre. Part way across the road, again we'll have a check over our full all-around observation to make sure nothing's appeared. And as we cross the centre of the road, obviously now we're starting to go down a little bit, downhill, so we may need to cover the brake.
Okay.
Okay? And we're going to bring the car to a stop just before, the front of the car just wants to be just before the curb line. And that's in case it's a high curb and we don't want to hit that curb.
Okay.
Okay, so you've got to consider that in the car. Just before we get to that point, at the moment we've got full right hand lock on, but we need to turn the wheels the opposite way.
Okay.
So with nice full movements again, we bring the car into full left hand lock just before the car comes to a stop. So apply the handbrake, into reverse, prepare the car, all round observation, and then slowly start moving back. Again, smooth clutch control, and you may have to apply a little bit more gas because again we'll start to go uphill over the crest of the road. It's not a lot, but you will be able to feel it. Okay. So again, as we start to do the manoeuvre, we're about halfway across, stop, all round observation. And as you're reversing, you'll be looking through the back window.
All right.
Initially, we start to head backwards. Okay, all round observation. And as we start to get to the opposite curve, you'll be looking towards your right hand side, out through the back passenger window.
All right.
Because that's the line that you're going to be aiming for.
Right.
And again, with the rear of the car, we don't want to get the back of the car over the curb for the same reason. And there may be another reason as well, if you can think of that. If the car crosses over the actual pavement,
Oh, I suppose maybe pedestrians.
yeah, so we need to be aware of that. So, again, now we're coming down the other side of the road, you're looking over your right shoulder, but we're also starting to go downhill again, so we may need to consider covering the brakes. But again, I'll guide you through that.
Okay.
Now, you may want to use what's called a reference point, just to give you a bit of a help as to where the back of the car is.
Right.
We'll see what works for you. It might be that it's the bottom corner of the window, and use that as a guide. But again, I can talk you through that. But before we get to that point, we need to take the lock off again. We're going to be heading across the other side of the road. Depending how wide the road is, you may need to apply full lock again. So again, nice big movements to get the lock on that's required. And just before we get to the curb, we stop, apply the handbrake, into first gear, ready to move on. Effective all-round observation again, watching out for any pedestrians or the road users, and then when it's safe, slowly start to cross over the road, and then we'll end up a normal parking position about 6 inches from the curb.
Right.
Should anything come while we're doing the manoeuvre, we will stop, apply the handbrake, go into neutral, and then we'll assess what's going to happen. Most road users are pretty good, they'll either wait, they may want to come by, but we'll just check, see what they're doing, let them get out of the way, and then we'll continue the manoeuvre.
Okay.
You happy with that?
Yeah, I think so. 6 minutes 23.
How was that?
It's under 8 minutes. It's,
Did it cover everything?
well, have a look at the diagram and have a think about it. Have we covered the main points?
Talk about safety, checks, clutch control, how the car's going to react going over the camber, put on observation partway across, set the steering for the reverse, checks, start to reverse, look out the back window, observation, head towards the curb, opposite lock, attempt to use as a reference point, stop, change gear, observation, settle forward, park, and then advice on shooting on the road usually.
Okay. So you've covered the salient points. Now, it took a little longer that time because, again, you got involved in a little bit of question and answer, but it was only a little bit, and you didn't waffle with it this time. It's
Is it better not to put a question and answer then and just say this is what I'll do,
it's better
what I
not.
would do?
Yeah. Because you have a tendency towards perhaps giving a bit more detail when you get involved in the end of it, I would likely advise that it might not work for you. Because if you just keep it short and punchy, you're going to be into the game of having a go at it,
Sure,
and
yeah.
these things are going to come up.
Well, that's fine. So if I for each time I think right, I'll talk through as if I was doing it, regardless of. Oh, by the way, this can happen. We'll talk about that. Yeah, if I can keep to that. Then. Yeah.
I think in terms of, because of looking at the time frame that we're doing it in, there isn't the time to develop the Q&A to the level where you could do what you want to do. So it might be best just to keep it short and punchy, just say this is what you're going to do.
This is useful because it's, whilst it just seemed like a little
You can run out of
question.
time pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's cost you 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
But on the first one, I had admitted to say about looking through the back window, so I'd take into account the camera. So maybe I'd a minute in top.
yeah. So you're all right. I think we need to be working in less than 5 minutes, ideally,
Okay.
and making sure that we cover all the basics. So on any manoeuvre, control, observation, accuracy. That obviously means other road users.
Okay.
Well, what's the purpose of the manoeuvre? The location we choose, control, observation, accuracy. What do we do about other road users? And if you cover those, and it's just the basics of it, you're not trying to give him it in such a level of detail that he'll remember it for the rest of his life. He's going to remember it because you're going to have a go at it and you're going to fix the faults that come.
Yeah.
So we'll perhaps come back to that one in a bit.
Okay.
Do you want to try
Yeah. Try this one.
the next one? Just flip the page over. Oh, go the other way.
So would we like to get that at all? Taken.
That's phase 2. So that's
Oh,
PST
yeah.
2, phase 2.
Yeah.
So we need PST 2, phase 1.
Okay. Yeah.
So you'll have had the little chat at the start of the lesson. Have you done your manoeuvring before? Oh no. Have you reversed in a straight line? Oh yeah, I've done that, yeah. Okay, so you might be able to skip that bit just with the question you have there. Because it's unlikely. Having said that, you could make him demonstrate it, but this is the meat of the thing. Let's see if we can get it short and punchy and just bang, bang, bang. So you give me all of that information in that left-hand column
Yeah.
in less than 5 minutes. Just have a little think about it for a little while, how you're going to approach it. So you've had the chat at the test centre, you've asked them about these previous manoeuvres. Have you done straight line reversing? And then you might say, well, look, we're going to have to do some straight line reversing before we do. Oh no, yeah, we did do that. We did that last week.
Okay.
So you should have a bit of an idea. If not, you're going to make them you're going to be pulled up here, you're going to make them do a straight line reverse there. So you'll probably go, oh yeah, I have done that, because he wants to get on with this.
So it's important on this one not to forget about this bit.
Yeah.
It leads straight into that.
But it's okay. I mean, even if you didn't do that bit, and he hadn't done any straight line reversing, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as you give him the right information to do what he needs to do, and then have a go at it.
Okay.
And even if you've completely and utterly messed it up, you can still recover. But I think it's important that we don't invest too much time and energy into thinking we've got to get everything absolutely bang on perfect in the brief, thinking that that's then going to make everything all right, because it's not.
No.
It is. It just isn't. So again, we'll assume we've said that I've done straight line reversing.
Okay. We're taking it as read that you've demonstrated that you can go a few yards forward, a few yards back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Let me know when you're ready and we'll begin.
Obviously, at this point, we're sitting here, aren't we?
Let's start off by you tell me what you would do.
Okay.
On you go.
Okay then, Bob, so we're going to do the reversing to the left manoeuvre now, and just very quickly, why might we want to reverse into the left?
So maybe the turn around.
Yep, use that to turn around if there's a roundabout available. That might be our only option. Okay, so we've got to consider a good location for it.
All right.
So what might we take into consideration? No, just that roll. I'm not already diving down there. Yeah. Right, reset. It's so easy, isn't it?
It is, and I think...
Would you even bother with the purpose and location?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
Location it's a safety thing. It's a safety critical thing.
Right.
We need to make sure it's safe to do it where we're doing it.
So start with that,
legal,
start with
it's
that.
convenient.
Okay.
So your purpose and location is always part of the brief, really.
Okay.
This is why we're doing it, and then just what you're going to do. So it's. I mean, it doesn't matter if you do that as part of that or as part of that, as long as you have a routine that you're following all the time, and
Yeah.
that we've got a system that we're following, so we don't forget stuff. And it really is just a case of teach me to do what you do. So in order to do that, just tell me what you do.
Yeah. Okay.
And then instead of saying I would, you will.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And it's just very basic. And we're not trying to dress it up nice. It doesn't matter. They're not a paying customer.
I suppose I'm going to be careful in that instance. So I would do this, and he's going to say, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, that could be a bit oops. Unlocked it. Yeah, so I mean, just in terms of...
I think you word, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Reset.
Right.
On you go.
Okay. So we're going to do the reversing to the left manoeuvre now, Bob.
Okay.
Just very quickly, why might we want to use reverse to the left?
That's what maybe to turn around.
Yeah, we may not have a roundabout available to us, so might be our only option. Location for carrying out manoeuvre. What do you think we might need to take into account? What we need to be thinking about?
Was it the same as when I pulled up at the side of the road? Make sure it's safe and legal and convenient.
Absolutely right. Yeah. Okay. Just quickly out roll. Would you need to embellish that? Because you acknowledge the reason why.
You tell me. What do you gain by embellishing it?
Probably nothing. You're going to cover that on there.
So have a think about where you are. You could just ask, if you're going to ask a question, just think, do you think it's safe, legal and convenient to do it here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. What are you considering? You might not. I'd just tell. Less ask, more tell.
Right.
So
Okay.
we're going completely against everything that I believe in. And we're just going to tell him.
Yeah.
Just this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. This is why you're going to do it. Now do it. And I'm going to talk you through it.
Okay.
If we keep it to those bare bones, then we reduce the risk of overflowering it.
Okay.
And the examiner sat there thinking, come on, man, get to the point. They must get tired of hearing it, but people just, because once you've got one of these in front of you, you want to talk about everything that you see.
Yeah.
So if you just think about what you would do,
Yeah.
and just tell me that.
Right. Go for it.
On you go.
Okay. So we know why we might want to turn around.
Yeah, yeah.
Considering location. So I'm going to talk you through what we need to do for this manoeuvre.
Oh, okay.
So as we're sitting here, up on the left, we've got a junction that we're going to reverse into.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm going to drive past the junction, and as we're driving past slowly, I'm going to look into the junction. And what I'm looking for is A, to see that it's clear, and it's safe to carry out the manoeuvre. So we don't want any cars in the way. Why do we need a clear road? What's that going to benefit me?
Well, I suppose there's nobody in your way then, is there?
Absolutely.
Stop you doing it.
Absolutely. So looking for a nice clear road, and just be careful as we're driving past the road that we're not going to steer ourselves into the road while we're taking
All right, okay.
the observation.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to drive past the junction, about 2-3 car lengths, and we set the car approximately a foot away from the curb. Before we carry out the reversing manoeuvre, I'm going to set myself up for a reversing position. So I'll take up position in the seat, comfortable to do the reverse manoeuvre, holding the steering wheel at 12 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Okay, I'm happy with that position. I'm going to select reverse gear. Before I move, I'm going to take out effective observation. When it's safe and clear to do so, we'll carry out the manoeuvre. Okay. Once I start moving, we're moving at a very slow speed, barely crawling. Foot will be off the clutch. If it's safe to do so, I'll stop. Rewind. When I'm ready to manoeuvre, by using clutch control, we'll make the car crawl. So we'll just be feathering the clutch. And I'll talk you through that, just how we need to hold it.
Okay.
And we'll reverse back towards the corner of the junction. Before we start making any turn, I will stop, take effective all-round observation, make sure it's safe to carry out the manoeuvre, because as I turn, the front of the car is going to come out. So I've got to be aware of traffic potentially coming towards us. Okay. I'll also be looking, if there is traffic coming towards us, I may consider whether I actually carry on with the manoeuvre.
Alright.
Because if it hinders them, then we're causing a problem.
Right.
And likewise, as I'm looking into the corner to do the reverse, I'm looking to see if anything's coming down.
Okay.
Because again, if there's something coming down, you may have to just pull forward and abort that particular move.
Right.
Okay, so once we've done our all-round check, we continue to drive round the corner, keeping a consistent gap from the curb. We're trying to follow the line of the curb as we go around. When we're part way around, we'll stop, again have effective observation, just make sure there's nothing around us, and then we'll bring the car fully around the corner, looking out through the back window as we're reversing to get the best visibility, and we'll reverse up about 3-4 car lengths. To help us as we go around the corner, we can use some reference points. Just out of just stop. I could have mentioned that before, or would I mention that I'm looking for a reference point now? Or just talk through what I'm doing.
As long as you've covered the salient points, the order in which you do it isn't as important as you might think.
Because I was just saying that, I was just going to say, right, I'll get around the corner and I can use a reference point to guide me as to where we need to pull up. And as we go around, I'll be using my near side mirror just as a quick guide. But when I'm reversing, I'll be looking out through the rear window. And then when I come a suitable spot, approximately a foot away from the curb, we'll stop, apply the handbrake into neutral, feet off the pedals, and switch off the engine.
Okay. So I mean, where we got there, we were 335, so we're not doing too bad.
So maybe another couple of.
As you're going through, every once in a while you seem to stop and overthink it.
Yeah.
You seem to be, and only you can tell me this right, you seem to be trying to engineer mistakes that I'm going to make out. Well, I can promise you now, you've got absolutely no chance of making that happen.
Yeah, go do it.
So just give me the information and then engineer the mistakes out while you're doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's the easiest thing in the world, and you're not alone. Everybody does this. I remember doing it myself. You think, well, I'll just add this little bit in. Or if I'll tell them about the reference point now, and I'll make sure we've got it. I've got that nailed. And then you're sat there next to me thinking, well, why have you done that? I told you about that. So just stay the same distance from the curb. Keep that back wheel the same distance from the curb all the way around if we can. If we're too far out, we steer in. If we're too far in, we steer out. And then cover it when you're going. So it's just very brief. And then the brief is just that brief. And we haven't got all this stuff to remember. It's because it'll absolutely do you right in.
I mean, I was just getting in my head, I'm standing around going, I'm imagining there's a car.
Just the last couple of things that we've done, and this will be a great video for other people watching this who are trying to get their briefs right. You go along and you think, oh,
remember this
I could do that, I could do this, I'll add this bit in.
Yeah.
And before you know where you're at, the examiner's saying, okay, can we just move on now? And you go, oh, crap, I haven't even got round the corner.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, we're starting here, we're a reasonable distance from the curb. We want to try and stay that distance from the curb. On the long slopey curbs, we'll just adjust the steering all the time. On the tight ones, you might have to go full lock. We'll judge that as we go along. You done? If you need the reference point, fine. You know, or if you're saying, okay, when we get back to the tight one, when we get that line up there, that'll work. Or the smoother ones, it's like this. As long as you've given me a logical plan and the order in which I need to do it, it'll probably be all right. Well, as far as the brief's concerned.
Yeah.
The practical attempt at it clearly isn't going to be all right because I'm going to mess it up deliberately. And the reality is, before you've left that waiting room, he's probably made his mind up which corner he's going to use. Well, he will have done. And he's probably made his mind up about which mistakes he's going to make. So you can engineer away as much as you want. You're not going to change that.
Yeah.
So let's just use it. He's testing your knowledge. Let's just give him it, bang, in a real slick and polished, like you would do if he was sat next to you watching you reverse. He'd probably be thinking, "Ooh, that was pretty slick." So just make your brief the same. Just what you would do. Do you use a reference point? You probably don't. You probably just judge it. I can't ever remember you using a reference point, and I cannot remember you ever having a problem with manoeuvres. So just what you do. So have a little think about that. I was just noticing, and I'm pleased we did it in here, because sometimes in the car you don't always pick up on this. You appear to be thinking as you're going along.
It was just that. I was thinking, I was thinking what happened when we actually did it the other day.
Yeah.
And I came and I was thinking, oh, yeah, watch for that. Because
Yeah.
so
But you can almost get the point, and of course you'll find it much easier if you're wearing a loose fitting shirt for this. And you know, if your hair isn't too long, because it's going to get in your eyes. And if you've got any rings on, you don't want them on because they're going to rub against your fingers. So that's where we end up. And it doesn't help you. What is it? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
yeah.
Just keep it short and sweet. Just the bare bones. This is what we're going to do, and this is how you're going to do it. Okay, now that we're going to have a go at that in anger, as it were, I'll talk you through it. And then you can say, okay, so just stop there. This is probably our point of turn. How can you judge that? Is there anything you can line up with the curve at this point, do you think? Oh, yeah, the top of the seat. Does the top of the seat line? Oh, yeah, it does. So that's our point of turn, so that's a bit of a guide. But before we turn the steering, what are we going to do? Oh, I can't remember. Let's have a good look around. Is anybody coming? No? Okay, so you're okay. So you can get involved in a little bit more of it when you're on the actual go. But this phase, I think, in my head, it just wants to be bang, 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 bang. He wants to see that you've given him a plan and that it makes sense.
Okay.
So take a moment, have a little think about that. Pare this back to just the bare bones, but still making sure that you're covering everything.
Okay.
Easy to say, not easy to do. Whenever you're ready, give us a shout, and we'll set the timer off. Set.
Okay. Okay then, Bob, so we're going to do the reversing to the left. We've talked about purpose and location. So I'm just going to talk you through what we're going to be doing,
All right.
and then I'll let you have a go.
Okay.
Okay. So if we look up the road, we're going to be going into the road on the left. So what I'm considering is it safe to do it? So I'm going to set off from the curb. I'll get you to set off from the curb. As we pass the junction, we'll take a look into the junction just to see if there's anything coming. Make sure it's clear, it's safe for us to carry out the manoeuvre. Okay. If there's anything in there, then we might need to consider choosing another location. Okay. We'll pull up about 2-3 car lengths past the junction, about a foot away from the curb, and secure the car. We'll then be carrying out a reversing manoeuvre. So we're going to think about seating position, and if needs be, whilst in reverse, taking off the seatbelt. If that makes it more comfortable for you. So we set the vehicle up, reverse gear. Obviously in reverse, our reversing lights will be illuminated.
Oh, yeah.
So any traffic coming towards us will be aware of our intentions.
Right, yeah.
Car control is key. Clutch control has got to be very accurate. We're going to be moving the car very slowly, so it's very small movements on the clutch. So as we lift the clutch up, it's almost the width of a penny. So it's very slow movements. Okay. So we set the car up. Before we move anywhere, all round observation, as we normally do, and then we're going to start reversing backwards, looking out through the rear window, up to the point where we get to the corner. We're going to reverse round. Before we make the turn, we're carrying out effective observation. So before we swing the car out, we're having a good look around, just make sure it's safe for us to do that, watching out for oncoming traffic. And we're happy with that. What we're aiming for is to reverse the car following the line of the curb. Okay, so we're trying to keep the back wheel of the car an equal distance from the curb line as we go round. Okay. To do that, we may be able to offer some help with some what's called reference points. So you might be able to use, for example, the middle of the windscreen wiper as a point, but we'll talk you through that.
Okay.
So reverse round the corner. When we're about halfway round, again we'll stop, all round observation, make sure of safety, what's happening, and then we'll continue to reverse round the corner. If we find that we're getting too close to the curb or too far away, we may need to adjust the steering. So we might need to steer in or steer out to adjust the position of the car.
Okay.
When we're around the corner, we're ready to reverse up about 3 car lengths. Again, we adopt the position looking out through the back window to reverse, and then we gently guide the car towards the curb, about a foot away from the curb.
All right.
As you're going backwards, you can just ease off slightly, just take a quick look in your near side door mirror, just to give you help. But whilst then we're reversing backwards, we're looking out through the back window. Okay? We'll park the vehicle, say about a foot away from the curb, secure the car, handbrake on, into neutral, feet off the pedals, and we'll switch off the engine.
3.5 minutes. So I've looked down your list. Have you covered everything?
So,
The only thing you could maybe mention is other road users. Now you've talked about observation, it's okay, and if somebody's coming, what we might do is, they can just wait until they're doing it live. Okay, just stop here, there's a car coming, what am I going to do about this guy? So you've given me the basics of it. If it's a plan, it'll either work or it won't.
yeah.
Well, it won't. We know it's not going to, because it's an exam, and he's testing your abilities. So if you can just get that short and punchy, he's going to be sat there thinking, okay, yeah, that's pretty good, pretty good. And then get involved in the questioning. I think, for you personally, I think it'll be better to do the questioning in a live situation rather than the brief, because it'll draw you away from just...
At least then I've got maybe 15-20 minutes to play with rather than 5.
Showing you good stuff.
Yeah.
But that's good. It just needs to be that slick, and it really doesn't. It doesn't need to be over elaborate, because you're not going to be able to engineer issues out.
Yeah. It's spotting them and dealing with them, helping them to get through it. Yeah. That makes more sense.
So you didn't get involved in the reference point. Just wait and see what happens. Okay. Just stop here. This is the point where we would normally put the steering on. So make a note of how that looks, and then just see how that goes. And if you're struggling with it, then give him the reference point. You might ask him, so in terms of reference point, did he have a reference point when you were reversing in a straight line? Oh yeah, it was that wiper. Well, I'm just going to keep that in line as we go back here, and then again when we go back here. We just need to decide when to get around the corner. We're just going to try and judge that. Let's see how we go when we have a road here. And he'll either be you'll steer too early, he'll steer too late. He'll be one or the other. He'll either be too fast, or he'll not be too slow, I promise you that. So he's going to have problems with his car control, his observation, or his accuracy. That's where the faults are going to be. They're not permitted to commit faults off the PST. It has to be the control, observation, or accuracy fault.
Well, just on the reference points, I didn't really touch on that too much.
Is that right?
So at the end of that, part of the curve, just to mention that there are things called reference points which can help you. That is just guidelines which I'll talk you through.
You get the chance to do it here, don't you? So okay, you've missed out reference points and you missed out some stuff about other road users. It's not the end of the game. So he's looking at the briefing. Is the briefing sufficient? Is it satisfactory or is it not satisfactory? Well, you've probably given him enough, so he's going to mark it as satisfactory. However, there was 1 or 2 elements missing. You'll get the chance to catch up on that. Okay? So don't forget, stop here. We're looking around. We're looking for other road users. What would you do if they came? Then ask the question. Oh, I'm not sure. Well, you'd wait. Okay. So coming back, just stop here. This is the point where the steering needs to go on. So let's look for a reference point. So you might find the top of the back seat line up. Oh, right, yeah, it does, yeah. So you're still able to recover. And the fact that the brief isn't maybe, all encompassing and all singing all that, it doesn't matter. As long as you've given them a basic plan.
Because on that one, I did talk about use position steering.
But what you did say was you're getting in a position where you're comfortable reversing. So So, okay, assume the position. Is that comfortable for you? Yeah, feels okay. Okay. Do you feel okay with the seatbelt on, or do you want to take it off?
Well, I need to specify, get a comfortable position with both hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah. But just watch and see if it happens.
Yeah.
But again, you see, I think we can get caught up in the thinking, well, we're going to mention all that in the brief. And if you can do all that in the brief and get it in under 5 minutes, brilliant. But you can't. You just can't.
Yeah.
For the classic example is pedestrian crossings. You can go on forever about it. Because there's 1,001 different variants of pedestrian crossings. And, you know, you've got your zebra crossing, your puffin, your toucan, it just, the list is it, and then your aquarium. Oh my God, your Pegasus crossings.
Yeah.
And then of course there are some that are staggered, some that have got a lane through the middle. Then you get your pedestrian refuges, and it can just be crazy. So there's zebra crossings and there's light control crossings. That's it.
Yeah.
Talk about them. There's ways of doing it, so you can use it by question and answer. But there is a danger then that you can get bogged down in wandering off on tangents. So just a very basic guide as to here's what we're going to do. Let's go and have a look for some of those in practice. The stuff that you don't cover on the brief, if he's reasonably happy with the information you've given him, he'll test your knowledge by asking you questions. Yeah, what would I do if somebody came along? Yeah.
What I didn't do is when, as I was sort of delivering that, I was just thinking in my head, right, what would I do? I didn't really look at that at all, so I missed the fact that I hadn't really covered the road users.
So does this work for you? Does talking about how you do it work for you? Or would just that list on the left work for you? You just got to find something that works for you. There's a tendency when you've got this on your lap that you just over elaborate sometimes. So you can maybe just think yourself out of it.
Use that.
Whatever works for you. Whatever works. These are designed to be a guide to make sure you talk about everything in the order you should be talking about them. But there's nothing says you've got to use a visual aid. There's nothing wrong with what you've just given me. If you had that little list, so it might be just a case of just focus on that side of it and make sure that you're covering all the basics.
Yeah.
Or cut the top bit off on the PST. If you have a look,
maybe do that.
yeah, we can chop these up and create these things for you if we need to. But if you have a look on here, PST. That's what he's marking you on.
Yeah.
Control observation accuracy. Satisfactory, unsatisfactory, or not covered. No, I think there your briefing was satisfactory because you've covered all the main points. There's some stuff that, you know.
Just thinking about that coordination of controls. Would add a bit more details. I would be steering down the corner with gentle steering inputs. Depending on the severity of the. But again, you're always going into a lot of detail on that.
Again, what does it give you? Do you think?
Probably other because like I've covered touch control's got to be a crawling place, so that's sort of covering that.
And you could make them demonstrate it before you go. You're going to get the chance.
Which yeah, but on the talk through how I would do it. Maybe just touch on the fact as we steer, smooth movements, nothing jerky. Because the car's under control, it gives you time to.
So if he says to you that he's done straight line reversing, you could just say to him, just demonstrate for me how you would sit and pull the wheel. Just see what he does. And say, excellent. Sorted.
Yeah.
But we can very easily get caught up in it, and what you need to do is this one at 12 o'clock, this one at 7 o'clock, and he's like, what? You mean in 6 hours time? What, is it 5 hours time? No, what I meant was, imagine that's a clock face, or you never said that. So then you can get into silly season.
Yeah.
So I think if we, I'll leave you to think about that, about which way is going to work best for you, because there's only you that really knows. All I can tell you is what I'm observing is
well,
you've got
that's
a
the beauty
tendency
of it.
towards too much detail.
Because I set off the best intentions out of that is my bullet points.
You start great each time.
And then it's, yeah, but what if?
Oh, hang on. I've just thought of something else.
Yeah.
No, that's what we're going to do, unless the wind is blowing from the west. In which case...
Yeah, if it's market day, there's lots of traffic about. Because it's almost that scenario, isn't it?
Well, of course there is. And again, if you were teaching a learner drive around here, that would play a part.
But then I suppose you said, after I've covered that, I say, well, I'm going to drive past the junction, I'm looking into it, and if it's busy, I'll consider somewhere else.
You switch from yourself from saying I would to saying you will. What I want you to do is, it's dead easy, isn't it? What I want you to do is what I would do. So have a think about what you would do. And you're expert in all of these. You know, you've demonstrated these at an extremely high level. You know, you've demonstrated at a standard that's way above part 2. Only you're about to meet my friend Mr. Mosby, who's going to tell you you're rubbish.
I'm going back to this.
That's not good enough, lad. I mean, the nice thing about that is you'll see the standard you're at and you think, ooh, excellent. Somebody to really polish.
But that's, I need to help transfer some of that in a different way to the student.
Flip it over to, when you're teaching real learners, it's completely different.
Where we going?
By the way, so for PST 5. Yeah, that's first 2. So this is one we've just had a bash at live. Thinking about what we've been talking about there. So we've done the mirror brief, we've done the drive there, we've arrived at the location where we're going to do it. Give me this in as short a time frame as you can, making sure you give me everything I need. But just the basics. On you go.
Okay. Okay, Bob, so we're going to cover the emergency stop routine. We've gone through the importance to use the mirrors. We're okay with that. Why do you think we might need to practice this manoeuvre? Why is it important?
I suppose in case we need to do it for real.
Okay, an example of what might be an emergency?
Maybe ambulance coming out of a T-junction or something.
Okay, well, that's just stepping off the side of the road.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to be able to stop the vehicle as quickly as possible. That is the priority. Stop that vehicle. We've got to do it in a controlled way, but quickly.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to talk you through what we need to do.
Okay.
And what I want to get you to do.
Yeah.
And then I'll let you have a go too.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so one of the main reasons that we check our mirrors is having a good awareness of what's going on around us.
Oh, yeah,
Okay?
yeah, you said, yeah.
And we check that regularly. However, in this situation, you haven't got time to check your mirrors.
Oh,
Your priority is what's coming out as a hazard.
oh, right.
Okay. So what we need to do is driving along, young child jumps out in front of us. So first thing is we get off the gas. With the right foot, we get onto that brake pedal as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay. I'll get you to demonstrate that. I'll demonstrate it to you, and I'll get you to do it back.
Okay.
So we're off the gas, straighten that brake pedal as hard as possible.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how hard you do it, it's how quick. So it's a really quick reaction. Straighten that pedal, and you'll feel the car coming to a halt. As soon as the car's stopped, handbrake on. Sorry, just a bit out. Reset.
Okay.
Just reset.
Okay, so careful, because we've talked about getting the brake on as hard as we can. We still need to be progressive. So you want a lot of brake, a lot more than you would use normally. But I wouldn't be get caught up in saying hit it as hard as you can, because you might, in a car that's got ABS, it wouldn't necessarily be that much of a problem because the ABS would kick in. But
Right.
what you're doing is you're just doing what you would do in a normal stop, but you're just shortening the time scale. Because we need to stop quicker, we have to do everything more, quicker, harder.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Oops, set, off you go.
Okay, Bob, so we're going to cover the emergency stop routine today. We've talked about why it's important to, what we might need to do an emergency stop.
Yeah,
okay. So I'm just going to talk you through the process,
okay.
the procedure,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll let you have a go.
Right,
Okay.
fair enough. Yeah.
The priority in this manoeuvre is to stop the vehicle as quickly and as safely as possible.
All right.
Amongst all else, you will not have time to check your rearview mirror. You've just got to react to whatever the hazard is.
Okay.
So we'll use an example of a child running out.
Mhm.
We've got to stop. So it's the same process where you go to brake normally, where you take the foot off the gas, applying the right foot onto the brake pedal. But in this situation, time is of the essence. So it's much quicker, straight onto the brake pedal, much more force applied to the brake pedal.
Okay.
So up to now, we've always taught you to be very gentle on the brakes and progressive.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that magnified,
Alright.
much more pressure, much more speed.
Okay.
Okay, so the emergency arises, the child comes out to the street, foot off the gas, straight to the brake pedal. Just before the car comes to a stop, we depress the clutch.
Okay. Yeah.
Once the car is stationary, apply the handbrake into neutral, feet off the pedals, and just take a moment, take a breath, because the adrenaline will be running. If you're in a real life situation, you might feel quite worried about it.
All right.
So just get your body to settle down, and then what I need you to do is park at the side of the road in normal curbside position, about a foot away from the curb. So before we take the car across to the curb, we're going to do all-round observations, gently move to the curbside, handbrake on into neutral, feet off the pedals, and switch off. Now, under harsh braking, it may operate the ABS system of the car. Are you aware what the ABS is? What it stands for?
Anti-lock braking system or something.
It is, yeah, anti-lock braking system. Do you know what it does?
No.
It allows the car, if needs be, to steer under very hard braking. Normally what brakes would do under severe braking will lock up, which means the car's going to skid. So you've no control, you can't steer. So it might be if the child's run out, you might just need to get around it. And what it does, it locks the brakes up momentarily and releases them. So it allows them, if you need to steer around the hazard. Okay. What you will feel in the hard braking, if it kicks in, you'll feel like a little shudder through your feet as it's activated.
Okay.
Don't worry about it, it's quite normal.
Okay.
And you'll feel the vibration through your leg. Okay. Some older cars may not have ABS, but we can cover that later. And there's a method of braking for that type of vehicle. But for the purpose of this vehicle does have ABS. This is how it's going to operate.
Well, the car I'm going to be driving doesn't have ABS, though. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, of course. What we need to do in that situation is use a method called cadence braking. So whilst on this car it's got an electronic system that activates the brakes on and off automatically, with a car without ABS we can replicate this by moving the foot, the brake pedal on and off to allow the brakes to unlock. And when we put it on full pressure, the wheels have locked with no control. So just by easing off, it allows the tyre to rotate, which gives you time to grip and steer. But you do it in a controlled method. It's pump, 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 pump. So it brakes on, brakes off, and that gives you time to steer around it, and you still come to progressive stop, secure the car into neutral, and then go through the procedure of parking up on the curb. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if it's got ABS, it stops it skidding, but if it hasn't got ABS, it might skid.
It might, yes.
What would I do if it did?
If the car skids, you may feel the rear of the car almost trying to overtake you. So if you look at the diagram here, the car, the near side of the car is wanting to come round.
Yeah.
So what we do to counter that, we steer into the skid. So if it's coming around to the left, we steer to the left, and likewise if the back of the car's coming around to your right, we steer to the right.
I see.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just want a little bit of target one.
Yeah, well, I dragged you along. I've got some extra detail over here from
Yeah.
there. And you're still only on 4 minutes 47. That's where we need to be, I think.
Yeah.
Let's just slick, bang, 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 bang. And because you're not wasting time, you can cover everything. There's no hint of saying, oh, you asked me about ABS. And I thought, no, I'll just tell you that I know what it is.
Yeah, I suppose what I should have done is...
I then told you that, well, my car's not going to be like that. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, what I should have done is when you're going to use harsh, but more progressive braking, which will lead the car to do, maybe just quickly show that diagram, say,
Possibly.
it's all the way to the front.
There's nothing wrong with what you've done there. Now, the reason that I brought this in, I thought, okay, if I'm in role as an examiner, I'm listening to what you do, I think, well, it's really pretty slick that. And then I'm thinking, oh, well, you haven't told me about that. I'll ask you a question on it. So I'm thinking a bit, let's say, for example, I'm thinking to myself, well, there's a good level of detail there, but you've missed a few bits out, which is a shame, because it was really quite good. Well, I'll ask you a question. Oh, like I did that. Or I might say, when you say skid control, what's that? I don't know. Or you say, what about that? Oh, what the car I'm going to use doesn't have that. Could you tell me about that? And then, of course, I might have said something like, well, I'm worried about the skin malarkey. How does that work? And you give me the information, so tick, done, satisfactory. Yeah. So the examiner has the opportunity to just think, oh, well, you're nearly there. Nearly. I'll either ask you some questions now, or I've got the possibility of putting that fault in and seeing how you deal with it and testing knowledge that way. But they just want a plan, a basic plan.
It's not going to induce a skid, is it?
You can't, not in this car.
No.
You can't, the ABS will stop it. There's just no way you can manage it. Unless he finds somewhere where he can do a bloody J-turn, or he can spin and pull the handbrake on it. But under normal braking, or even harsh braking with this car, it's very, very difficult to try and induce a skid. I tried to do it this morning, with that, on that last attempt.
Yeah.
So I absolutely leathered the brake pedal, and they just won't let you do it. Maybe you haven't said that today, the tarmac is quite sticky today, we've got a ton of grip, so that's where it needs to be, just that real slick sort of.
Now, in that, just picking up what we talked about earlier when we were out, when I said about progressive braking, I didn't mention about don't pull the handbrake up.
So
I think I said we don't by normally progressive foot
what I
braking.
would normally say is get the car stopped, keep your hands and feet still, apart from your left hand. Feet still, keep everything still, handbrake neutral, then relax. And you've covered, taking a moment because the adrenaline might be flowing. There's all sorts you could add in, but are you elaborating too much? Are you trying to gild the lily?
Because I'm trying to trim it down, aren't I?
Yeah. Well, keep it just
But
simple.
not with the expense of missing a.
It's not the end of the world. You could honestly, you could start this off and say, right, emergency stop. Let's have a go at this. And the first one will be absolutely carnage, but you will have the opportunity to put it right. And if you put it right by the end, he does an emergency stop well enough on his own, you've passed. I've sat in on a test where the guy delivered the wrong brief. Just sat in the back thinking, oh my God, no, that's the wrong brief. And he managed, and he passed.
So in the briefing then, we got to where it was 4 minutes. Then I suppose I should have said, well, just so we know where we're at, just as a dry run like we did.
Oh,
Show me how
definitely do the dry run, definitely.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And also, it's the same with the manoeuvres. Just show me clutch control. Just let me see what you got. And you're eliminating potentially one of the problems.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's now PST 6 contains 2 briefs because the second phase is reverse park. Pedestrian crossings use of signals, and then reverse park on phase 2. So it's the only phase 2 where you've got a brief. But he might say to you something like, I'm a full license holder, and I haven't done this since my test. Or he might say, I've got my test coming up, and the instructor said I needed a run at this. So he's already had the lesson. So be sure you establish who he is and where he's at. So if you have a look, exercise 6. Find the right page. So, people at the train stage with a driving test coming up, or I would like to assume a qualified driver who passed the test some time ago but needs some further development. You've got the same car, blah blah blah. I'd like you to instruct me on reverse parking because I haven't done this since my test. That sort of stuff. So He'll be one of those two. He won't be partly trained. He's trained at this phase. So he's probably done the lesson before. And even if he hasn't, even if he says, this is the last thing I've got to do before my test, he's done all the other manoeuvres. So there's a lot of previous experience. He should be able to get through this, possibly even using Q&A. So tell me how you think you might do that. And if he doesn't know, then tell him. So it's a case of really listening at that point, because you can very easily get the level of instruction wrong because he is trained or full license holder. But on the first bit, the pedestrian crossings, this is the one where you can take 40 minutes to do a brief if you chose to. You know, you've got zebra crossings, pelican crossings, toucan, puffin. You know, the list is, the variations on it are huge. You know, the ones at traffic lights, the traffic islands, puffin crossings, toucan crossings, equestrian crossings. I've never even heard of them when I moved down here.
Mm-hmm. There's not many about it.
Equestrian, what's that? What are you on about? I've never even heard of them. There's no such thing in the northeast.
I only know of one, and that's just down by Clumber Park.
There's some around here, and there's some around Horsworth and Leeds.
Right.
I remember driving past one the first time I was out, I thought, what the hell is that? There's a post about, there's a button about here for you, are the giants around here? But I hadn't, in fact I don't think I was qualified, I was still on a training licence, I think, when I first came across them. So again, pedestrian crossings and use of signals. If you have a look at the guidance on that, it's just general use of signals, and you'll be quite clear. Exercise should be introduced to the PDI by the examiner saying, I would like you to instruct me on dealing with pedestrian crossings and also instruct me on how to give all signals by indicators and by arm, assuming that I am partly trained or full license holder, because that's obviously on phase 2 as well. It should be made clear that there are 2 elements to the test, and that all signals, not just those at pedestrian crossings, should be covered. So you'll say to you something like, I'd like you to instruct me on pedestrian crossings and the use of signals outside of pedestrian crossings.
Correct.
So start with signals, and just ask him, do you know what about this? If he doesn't know, tell him. And then brief on pedestrian crossings. But always do the signal one first. If you want to have a think about that, this is the one that's very difficult to get under 8 minutes. If you're at 8 minutes, we'll be happy. If you can do them both in 6, you'll be overjoyed. But you can see you're going to have to strip a hell of a lot of detail out to get this in that length of time. So we're very similarly across the top. Why do we give signals? Why do we use indicators? What's the purpose of signals? Hopefully you should be able to say, well, to inform the road users. And how do we decide whether it's necessary or not to use a signal? How do you decide on the time? Tell me about your MSM routine.
So you talk to each
Show me
physical...
how you would give somebody a hand signal or slowly. Remember these from your theory? Oh, I think it was something like that. And watch what he's doing, because he'll do this sort of business. No, it's up and down. All right. And do you know what the signal is for turning left? To that.
We'll be in the car park at this point, won't we?
Yeah.
Right, so we've got room to do it.
Yeah. Show me how you would, they signal would turn right. Let's assume your indicators are broken. And if you're at a crossroads and there's a police officer or a traffic warden directing traffic, you want to let him know you're going left, you know what signal you can give him? No, it's this. See the picture there? It's like, all right. To turn right now, and how about going ahead? So what other signals have we got? I'm not sure. Brake lights in here. How do you put those on? Do you know? Flashing headlights, do you know what they're for? Well, to let people come out, isn't it? Oh, that's to alert others to your presence, which is the same for the horn. There are other signals, and you can just talk about them. When would you use those? Hazard lights. Or to park outside the news agents and give a newspaper. No, it's to alert other people to danger. So that you've either broken down, or the only time you can use it when you're moving, because of course you're signaling left and right at the same time. So just very quickly, and then pedestrian crossings. 2 types, light controlled and zebras. And then he'll test your knowledge on the other ones as he's going around. And he'll ask you questions like, talking to my brother, and he said there was a little old lady the crossing and she looked like she was stuck, so he waved her across. Was you right to do that? Because we had a bit of an argument about it. I said he shouldn't, he said he should. So test your knowledge that way. What's this here? That's got one of them beacon things in the middle with a light on it, but there's no lights. It's a pedestrian refuge. Oh, is that a crossing? Yes and no. So it's, I'll go put the kettle on and let you have a little think about how you're going to approach that, and then we'll have a run at it and see where we are.
And you'll sort of work your way through, show me how you do that.
Show me how you do that. I don't know. Well, it's like this.
You do all of them?
Yeah. Well, it's not going to take long, is it? Really. And you'll play a ball.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I think it's like this, isn't it? Nearly. So when do you think you might use these signals? Well, if your indicators are broken, what about that one? Pedestrian crossings. So you can link it, but just careful you're not going to give them too much detail.
Okay.
Well, I'll put the kettle on, I'll get some cold drinks too. We need to be more hydrated. It's heavy going when the temperature's this high, isn't it?
Much better now, though. Much better now.
Yeah, now we've got the room cooled a little. Well, I'm assuming we're going to get all the briefs done today, but if we don't get it all done, we're going to come back in here. I'll come in first thing in the morning and crank the heat down.
Okay, then. For this one then, so the signals and pedestrians, is it the brief totally lead straight into the other one? Or is it like, for example, 8 minutes for that, 8 minutes?
No.
I can't, no, I can't.
No, 8 minutes maximum for both.
So you're into...
So this is where the most of it's going to be. So on this one, I would try and see if you can find out what he already knows. Ask him the questions. Do you know what this is about? And if he doesn't, then you're going to need to fill the thing in. But I would imagine if he's in a stage where he's dealing with traffic lights, with pedestrian crossings, he must know a bit about this. He must know about the MSM routine. He must know why we're giving signals. So just see if you can find out. So what's the purpose of giving signals? Well, just let other people know what you're on about or what you're going to do. Right. So do we always use signals?
So go through that bit, but as a matter of course, you'd still work your way through that. So
yeah, because
tell me what these mean.
It's signals outside of pedestrian crossing, so the two things aren't really sort of linked.
And is it purely a case of, well, tell me that means, tell me that means, tell me that?
Yeah, see what he says. And if you get, well, I don't know, well, it means this.
Okay.
Demonstrate that for me. But he'll probably play along and say, oh, yeah, I remember that from my theory. Okay, show me how you would show people behind you were slowing down. Would you use brake lights? Okay, let's assume your brake lights on already. Or you're trying to give that signal to somebody in front of you, for example, in a pedestrian crossing, which we'll talk about in a minute. How would you do it? Oh, sort of like that, isn't it?
Okay.
So it's like that.
Let's try them. For a penny.
Off you go.
Okay, we're going to talk about signals today, Bob.
All right.
Firstly, do you understand what we mean of signals on a car?
Well, it's like indicators now, isn't it?
Yeah. Why do we have them? Why do we use them?
To let other people know what you're doing.
Yeah. Our intentions. Do we need to use them all the time?
Well, I think so, yeah. Well, no, when you're moving away from the side of the road, isn't it? And going past parked cars, you only use them if it's necessary.
If it's going to help somebody.
Right.
Yeah. So they know exactly what you're going to do.
All right.
What about when we put the signals on? How relevant is that?
I suppose it's got to be early enough so they can see, but not so early that it's going to confuse them.
That's it. Got to give time for people to react to your signal. Okay. And in with that, the use of the signals, you will cover this. Hopefully, we use a certain routine.
Oh, the mirror signal manoeuvre.
That's it. Okay. So we use the mirror to
See if it's safe.
yeah, and then we're considering whether a signal is necessary.
Yeah.
Then we apply the relevant signal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We know how the indicators and the various lighting are operated on the car. Yeah.
Yeah, the indicators at this stage, isn't it?
Okay. Okay. So with the electric signals, they'll call them. So that's your lights, your indicators.
All right.
You may be in a position where there could be a fault with the car.
All right.
Those signals don't work. So you may have to use hand signals.
All right.
And I don't know if you remember from your theory test. Is
Yeah,
there any
I
other
think
reason
so,
we
yeah.
might use a hand signal?
Sure.
Okay, well, we can use a hand signal to enforce another signal. So, for example, you could be doing a left-hand turn with a vehicle close up behind you. Now, he may just think that you're pulling up at the side of the road.
Right.
You can enforce that by using a signal to
Oh, right, yeah,
let him know for certain what
Oh,
your
I
intention
see,
is.
right, yeah.
Okay. A good example as well is the lead up to a pedestrian crossing. That whilst you're slowing down, it just gives an extra bit of visual to maybe an oncoming vehicle,
Right.
maybe not seeing the pedestrian.
Mhm.
By using an arm signal, he can see that and he's absolutely sure what's happening then,
Right,
and
okay.
will take action accordingly.
Right.
Okay. Again, going back to your theory test,
Mhm.
here are some of the. Oh, can you demonstrate to me?
Yeah.
If you were going to slow down or stop, what arm signal you would use?
It's like that, isn't it?
Not quite, no. So if you look at the diagram, your arm's out straight, that's fine.
Oh, it's like that.
With your palm facing downwards.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fine for slowing down or stopping. So I already mentioned about potentially we're going to do a left turn.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just show me the hand signal for that? What do we need to do?
It's not like that.
No, that would be for you're sort of flapping as if you're going to turn right. So
Oh, right.
arm out,
Yeah.
palm facing down, and we rotate it anti-clockwise.
Oh, like that.
Yeah. You
Oh,
can see
right,
it there,
okay,
so it's
yeah.
nice and clear.
Got you.
Okay. So if we were doing a right-hand turn,
So just like that.
straight out, absolutely. Well done. Now, if we're on a junction, perhaps the traffic lights have gone out, it may be controlled by a police officer or a traffic officer, and you want to make your intentions clear to him as to which direction.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how to do a right-hand turn, you know how to do a signal for a left-hand turn.
I've seen that one. It's like that inside the car.
It is, yeah. Okay. Are you happy with that one? And again, as you're facing forward, if you have your right arm out, you can see that you want to turn
Right.
to your right.
Oh, okay.
If you wanted to go straight on,
It's
you know
like,
what
it's
signal
like
that
that one, isn't it?
yeah, nice and clear so you can see the palm of your hand. So that's your hand signal. So when, assuming all your lights are working correctly,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to slow down by using the foot brake or maybe stop completely. So when you operate the foot brake, do you know what happens? Do you know what lights come on?
Right, lights come on. Don't they?
Okay, yeah. So that's and again, that's a good example for you may be slowing down and you might want to be stopping. And just if someone's that bit close and it doesn't, you know, maybe looks like they haven't taken notice of what you're doing, you can enforce that with your arm signal.
Right,
So
okay.
they fully understand. You'll have seen as you go about the flashing of headlights.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
Okay.
My brother does that. He does that and let people know, but he shouldn't do that, should he?
The official use of a headlight flash is to alert other
Just
road
let
users
people
of your
know you're
presence.
there,
You have to be very careful with that because, as you said, it could mislead people to thinking, yeah, you're inviting them across.
Yeah.
What you need to be clear, if someone gives you that signal, what do you think you might need to consider? Would you just drive straight towards it and
No, I suppose I should make sure he's
Yeah.
doing it for the right reasons.
make sure he understands it,
Yeah.
that you understand what he's trying to signal to you?
Right.
Okay, make sure it's safe. If you're not sure, stop.
Okay.
The horn. You might use the horn.
That's,
You've probably seen and heard this while you're out and about.
well, I remember this from my theory, is to alert other road users to your presence.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're going through like a very narrow blind bend.
Yeah, or if you're turning into a junction. Heavy traffic, maybe in the marketplace, lots of pedestrians around, you want to turn, and you can see the pedestrian just about to step off. Sometimes it can be useful just to give a little warning, just a short one, not too long, you're not to frighten them. Again, it's just making them alert to your presence. Okay. Other warning lights that we've got the reversing lights.
Oh yeah, they'd go on when you're like I did that when I was doing my reverse round.
That's it,
lets people know behind you when you're going backwards, isn't it?
That's it. That's shown by white lights at the back of the car.
Right.
Okay. Hazard warning lights. Do you know what we use those for?
That's when you're broken down, isn't it?
Broken down, and it can also be used if, when you get to the stage of being on a motorway or in fast-moving traffic. If it's suddenly coming to a an abrupt stop, maybe something's happened at the head, you can put your hazards on to alert vehicles behind you that the traffic is coming to a stop.
Right.
So that's the only time you can use it.
Okay.
Okay. Would you use it for parking outside your local newsagent?
That's what everybody else does.
Is that right?
No.
No. Okay. Okay.
It's fine, you covered a lot. But you see how the time just gets sucked away. So if you take the same length of time again over your pedestrian crossings,
That's it over, isn't it?
yeah, you're only down to a few minutes for your actual. That's not bad. But
You can't do it much quicker, can you? Surely.
well, have a play around with it. It's if you just
Because you wanted to confirm A, that they understand what it is, and
because if you're given good information and it's working quite well, the examiner will let you run with it because he's testing your knowledge as well as your skills. But remember, he wants to get on the move of pedestrian crossings, so we've got to be really careful that we don't.
or would you just say, can you tell what it is, mate? So was that?
That's the easy way. And he might or he might not. If he extends it by going, oh, I'm not really sure, then he wants the information from you. That's different from you extending it
Yeah.
by giving them too much detail.
Okay.
So you know what the signal's for, that's to let people know you're slowing down. Where might you use that? Or be waiting at a pedestrian crossing. So you just play it by ear. If he gives you the sort of responses that I do, well, I'm not really sure, oh, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure, then you're going to have to fill the detail in. And that's okay, but you can see how you can very quickly run out of time.
Yeah. I would have said that was obviously.
Unless I didn't reset it from the last one, but no, I think it
No,
was.
it probably was. Because there's a lot of detail in there, really.
Yeah.
Stuff you go through.
So I think it's best to, because he must know, and I give you the clue by, I said a few now, oh, I remember this from your theory. So, from your theory, what does that one mean? What about that one? What about that one?
So I just cut
You
straight
did that
to
with that one, show me how you would do it. Oh, be like that, wouldn't it? Yeah. So, and then you're going to be able to tune through.
Yeah. Okay. We'll refine that one. Yeah.
Well, that's not bad as it is. But again, there's some time
But
could
yeah,
be
but
trimmed
it's-
off a little.
It's 7 minutes into it, isn't it? And I've not even discussed pedestrian crossings.
Well, let's see if you can do this in 3 minutes then. And then you're still under the 10 minutes where they're
What's
going
that?
to
What's
push you.
that good? Yeah. Which way am I going now? That's this.
So you could do pedestrian crossings then, use the signals, and then pedestrian. It doesn't really matter. You could ask him which way around you want to do it. Do you want to talk about pedestrian crossings first and then signals, or the other way around? So where we've got it set up here, we've got that start 25, 26, 27.
Ideally, you want to do the signals bit first.
It doesn't really matter because you're not going to drive to a location on this one because you're going to be in at pedestrian crossings immediately, so you'll give the brief at the car park for this one. But always ask, do you want to do the brief here, or do you want to drive to an area and then brief there? And he'll tell you, I'll do the brief here.
Okay.
So see if you can strip as much stuff that's not needed out of it.
Okay. But this, I thought this was like phase 1. Okay.
Yeah, it's phase 1.
What's phase 2?
Where are we?
That's what we're going to signals. I think we're going to see quite a detail. But
So we're on.
we got the.
Oh, yeah, it's the same diagram. It's just in a different on a different page.
First impressions, use the
There you go.
signals. That one and that. It's got 19 and 20.
So it's just the same stuff.
Yeah.
We've just put them together in PST order, so they've been replicated.
Okay.
So as you can see on the bottom here, you've got signals. So you could do a pedestrian crossing the signal, and it's giving you the same information. It's on there.
Yeah.
You can talk about arm signals. What other signals can we give? Ask. So, pedestrian crossings. On you go.
Okay, Bob. So we're going to look at pedestrian crossings today.
All right.
Okay, sorry, we're taking this as read.
Yeah, but we're at the location you're delivering the brief,
Okay.
or where you're going to deliver the brief from this point.
Okay, so pedestrian crossings. Basically, the main thing to remember, there are two fundamental types of crossings. There's what we call zebra crossing,
All right.
and there's light control crossings.
Okay.
Okay. Your pedestrian crossings, they're the ones that have usually the black and white stripes across the road,
All right.
highlighted by a pole with a flashing orange beacon on it. And your light control crossings, as it suggests, basically like your traffic light signals.
All right.
Okay, so that's the easiest way to identify.
Okay.
There are different types of light control crossings. We can cover those as we come to them,
Oh, okay.
because some of them you may not even see. Some are quite rare that deal with animals. So they're the two main types that we've got. And how we can look out for these is on the approach to most crossings there'll be some sort of warning sign.
All right.
So if you remember from your theory test,
Oh, yeah, yeah. So the triangle with a little man walking over there.
that's it, yeah. Well, you bet for the light control ones, you'll probably get the warning of the actual traffic light symbol.
All right.
Okay, again,
Okay,
the
yeah.
triangle. As you're looking down the road, as I've already said, you can look for the black and white pole with the orange flashing beacon
All
on
right,
it.
okay.
Okay. So, on approach to any crossing, it's a hazard, so we have to consider our mirror signal manoeuvre routine.
All right, yeah.
Okay, so again we're looking what's behind us, see whether it's safe to stop. We've got to consider speed. If it's a pedestrian crossing, on the approach to it, you'll have seen the pole, we're looking for pedestrians. So if on the approach to it it's clear, that's fine. If we see any pedestrians near or on the crossing, then we need to be prepared to stop.
Oh,
So we just add speed accordingly. Again, we can cover that as we get out and about.
All right, okay.
We stop just before the actual crossing.
All right.
You can see a line across the road.
Mhm.
We stop before that. We don't overlap onto the crossing. It's going to impede the pedestrians crossing.
All right, right.
Okay, we'll be very careful about that. Other clues to point out on the crossings are the zigzag lines.
All right.
Okay, now, can you remember what they're for? In theory, you know why they put them there?
It's sort of about parking, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's there to keep that area clear.
All right.
What do you think the main reason for that is?
Safety, I would think, so you can see the pedestrian crossings.
Yeah,
You can see the,
that's it. And for the pedestrian,
right.
for their safety, so there's no car parked in that area, so you can see what's coming. Okay. On the approach to a crossing, you don't want to be overtaking. It'll be very dangerous. Okay. And there's a couple of safety issues that we need to look at on the approach to crossing. So if we've got a pedestrian there, we don't invite them to cross.
All right.
Because it could be you invite them across, and another vehicle come behind us, he might not have seen it, we end up with a pedestrian getting hit. Especially if it's on a two-lane carriageway.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay. For the light control crossings, usually they'll use the same sequence as a normal junction. So you have the same sequence with your red, amber, green, amber, red.
All right.
Okay, so again we're looking well ahead and see what's happening. Should a pedestrian step onto a zebra crossing, they've got right of way.
All right.
Once their foot, but don't invite them across.
Okay.
Because that could be misleading. Okay. Just that wrong.
So, have you covered everything?
Pretty much. I was wondering about that. So I just looked at that, but then that comes in different types of crossing.
Yeah. You could deal with that on the movie. You could mention it there. You're on 4 minutes and 18 seconds. So that's pretty slick. No.
Did that cover enough?
Yes and no. It's not the same light sequence, is it? It's a flashing amber. On a puffin, it's the same sequence. But that's fine. You can get the chance to recover, because if we go to one, I've got that's flashing amber. You said it'd be red and amber. Well, they're all different.
Yeah.
So you've given me the basic information. Now, looking at what you've done there, you could hack that down a bit more. I reckon, because you've gone back and forth a little bit. So if you just look at going down to that, you've dealt with the. Just talk about the sequence of you
So
driving
just,
through
so
it,
just
perhaps.
refine it to, regardless of the type of crossing, we're doing the mirror signal.
We're watching for pedestrians,
Yeah,
either stood at the side of the cross, not pressing the button.
yeah,
And if they do that, like you said, we need to apply our MSM routine, we need to adjust our speed on approach so we can stop. Talk about where I should stop. Talk about overtaking on approach. Now, you're only not allowed to overtake the leading vehicle. So if there's 3 or 4 cars, you can roll up and be level with the first car. So it's okay to overtake these back ones. So just mustn't overtake the lead vehicle. But if we are going to overtake vehicles, we need to do so with a great deal of caution because there's pedestrians around the place. Zigzag lanes, you've talked about what they're about. Can't park in there, can't overtake. Talk about inviting pedestrians across. Talk about the light sequence. Got it slightly wrong, but you still managed to talk about it. You could add in, we need to decide sometimes, is it 1 crossing or is it 2? Well, that's 1, that's 2. Or if there's an island in the middle, that could be seen as 2 if it goes through the middle. But you could get bogged down in a lot of detail. Just talk about the 2 basic ones and then get on with it. Deal with the rest on the move. Because he'll ask you questions. Oh, I noticed the light sequence is different here to the ones you well, this is a puffin. If you have a look at the top of the, right, I see.
yeah.
So you get the chance to do that one. You just want the basics in place.
Okay.
So that's not bad. So you combine the 2 of those, you're on 11 minutes. 11 minutes something. What was the first one?
7 something.
Yeah, and then
7
now we're
and a
4
half.
something, so
Yeah.
7.5, we're on 4 and 18. So you're looking at 12 minutes total. He might let you run at that, but I suspect he'd want you to move on. Both of those. At 10 minutes, they're normally like, come on, we need to get moving. And they cut you short. And you bring you move on.
Alright, well let's,
But again, that doesn't mean that it's game over.
that'll lose maybe what, 11
You've got
15
about
minutes.
15 minutes.
to go out.
Which is okay, and if you do a good job of it, that might still be alright. So by the same token, we don't want to like
That
pound
gives
too
me
much.
enough time to, oh man, you're only going to go out to test centre and turn right. And
You're
you've got
straight at it.
Pelican
You're straight at it.
Yeah.
Immediately. You come out of the test centre and turn left, and you know where we normally turn left.
Of course,
and go
yeah,
to the right. This is the one straight away.
yeah.
Now there's lane control and a zebra crossing within 50 yards of each other. And then you'll turn left, go up the hill, come back down, and you're back at it again. Up the end, turn right, bang, there it is. Or if he comes out the test centre, turns right, left at the end, turning right, zebra crossing immediately there. And we'll do that when we do that, the physical. Actually, because if you sit at that T-junction and don't notify him there's a pedestrian crossing there, he's going to get it wrong. So, okay, well, we're sat here, look to the right, what's that? Oh, it's a pedestrian crossing. So is anybody about? Oh, no. Okay, so, but there might be somebody later by the time we get out, so we'll just keep an eye on that, shall we? Oh, yeah, okay. If there is somebody there, what will we do?
Because if you go left up to where it went to that
Traffic
shop,
lights.
there's one on the top of the hill, isn't there?
And then the next one is a zebra.
So
The pelican.
that's if we go get to that roundabout.
And then another one at the top of the hill. You down, you turn left, there's another one up there. There's a pelican one there, then you turn left, where Churchill House is, down there, zebra, pelican. There's loads of them around here. Somebody said that to me a little while ago, there's not many pedestrian crossings in Pontefract. Are you kidding?
No, there's a type, isn't it? There's only,
We've got everything here, apart from the equestrian ones.
right,
We've got them all. What we don't have is the split ones.
okay,
Well, we do, but not where he's going to be playing.
right,
There's one just outside here, but you'll not get this far up. So there's loads of them. So you get the opportunity to be, and even if you've been a right rick of the brief, you still get the chance to recover, because you're going to get to do quite a lot of them. Even if you only had 10 minutes left, you're still going to cover a lot of pedestrian crossings in that 10 minutes. Because he can get at them so quickly, double back himself, and just bang, 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 bang.
okay.
Does that help? Is that starting to make sense? Is that where we need to be with it? What's your plan going forward with these? You're going to sit up all night working on them?
That's right.
No, I wouldn't advise
No,
that.
I think what I've got to do is, like I say, try and refine it. I'll time it myself. So I know how to filter that one out now, because basically I'm going to say, well, so what is it?
Yeah. Okay.
What's that, and that should maybe half, maybe bring that down to 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then that one, refine that to say, okay, well basically there are 2 types of crossing, light controlled and zebra. However, there are variations on each, which we can talk about later. principles of dealing with are this.
Yeah.
On the approach to rear signal, don't park on the zigzags, that side of it.
Yeah.
Then that covers that should tick all the boxes, shouldn't it? Because the approach to them is going to be the same.
It should, but let's assume that it doesn't. It's still going to get the chance to recover.
Yeah.
Because you don't. If you look at the PST fault, there's satisfactory, unsatisfactory, and not covered. You don't want anything in the not covered box. Because you get some in the unsatisfactory, and that's fine.
When we're out the road on this, we'll say, right, now we're approaching a zebra crossing.
Tell me what that is up there, what you're going to do with it. But the first time, you may talk them through it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, because if it's part of the change, okay, well, what can you see ahead, what we're going to do.
Oh, I'm not sure.
So,
Okay, right.
go
check
through our
it out.
routine, yeah. What about speed? I'm happy with the speed.
Right.
Too fast.
Well, I think this is a bit quick, so
Yeah.
let's take my more speed off.
Okay.
Or you might just go for a full-blown talk through on the first time you do it. There's pedestrian crossing ahead of you, so check him out. Can we give a signal here? Oh, no. Okay. Just talk them through it. Let them experience it with your guidance. You can put right any issues that you missed out on the brief potential. Oh, don't worry about it. And then once you've done a couple, okay, what do you want to do now? Do you still want some help from me? Do you want to try some of those on your own? It's okay, well, how about I prompt you on things? Okay, here's a pedestrian crossing. Tell me what you're thinking about. What you're going to do first, then what you're going to do. You see the pedestrian, what you're going to do about that. Well, and we'll practice that when we get out and do some live stuff. Okay, so that's the first 6 done. Let's have a look at number 7. At any point, if you're thinking, I've had enough of this, just say it.
No, because there's something to work on.
Okay.
So 7, whatever.
It should just be flip over,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
it'll be there.
23. Next one.
Oh, sorry. No, we'll come back to that at the end.
Yeah,
it's
because
a train going this time.
yeah, because I'd like to try that when we start the road first, before I even
All
start
right,
doing
fine,
the brief on them.
fine, no problem.
Because again, it's one of those where
You never do
you
it.
don't think about it really when you're doing it, because you've got the experiences. I think I maybe need to, or maybe need to just do me drive it, me physically do it,
Okay.
and sort of talk it through and then think, right, okay, this is what I want to do.
Sure.
Just if nothing else, just to remind me of
Well,
what I'm
maybe-
using as a reference point
Yeah,
on
I
the,
was going to say it might be worthwhile doing that
Also-
in the car you're going to use on the
Yeah.
That's fine, not a problem.
yeah, because then I can relate that to, okay.
So if we're looking to save time on the brief, you've got to think to yourself, well, what has he done already?
Yeah,
He's done moving off and stopping, if this is the next lesson along. So he's got some knowledge. He knows about MSM. He knows about, judging when traffic's coming. So there's some stuff you might be able to use. You can't just assume, but you can just say, okay. So similar to when you moved away from the side of the road, we're going to use the MSM routine. Remember that? What does MSM stand for? Mirror signal maneuver. Okay, so why we check the mirror? We want to make sure it's safe. Well, it's the same here. So we're going to go right, check the mirror, make sure it's safe to do what we're going to do. So I'll reset. Let's see if we can get this under 5 minutes. Because if you brief on the right-hand turn first, then it's very simple to do the left-hand one because there's not so much to think about.
would it, in reality, do the left-hand one first?
In the real world, you do left first.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the exam, do right then left.
Okay.
It's the DVSAs, of course, they feel that that's the. There you go. Reset. On you go.
Okay, Bob, so we're going to look at approaching junction and turning to the right today.
Okay.
So, just go through what you've covered so far in your previous lessons.
I was moving off and stopping.
Okay,
So
so
controls and that.
brilliant. So, you can talk me through your pre-move check. So you're checking your MSM. So what we're looking for.
Mirrors to see if it's safe to do what I'm going to do.
Okay. So, obviously we're checking, as you said, make sure it's safe to do what we need to do. And we're considering a course to take the right hand turn.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'll just reset.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay, that's.
I just feel myself going off
That's
course
okay.
here.
I'll lead you along that path there. So, Just talk me through what you would do, but tell me to do it.
I do for the reverse around the
Yeah.
gun.
So you'll have done the question answer, what did you do on your last lesson?
Okay.
Are you familiar with a mirror signal? Oh yeah, mirror signal. Okay, right, and then you get stuck into this.
Okay.
On you go.
Okay. Okay, we're going to cover approach to junctions turning right today.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay. So we've gone through what you've done on your last lesson and your experience so far. So what I'll do, I'll just talk you through as if I was doing it, how I
Okay.
approach it, and then I'll let you have a go.
Oh, okay.
And any help I can give you as we go through,
Okay.
I'll help you with. So we've decided we're going to take a right-hand turn. So before we do anything, I'm going to check the mirrors. So I do my mirror signal manoeuvre routine.
Alright.
Checking rear view mirror, both door mirrors, see what's around me, and then I'm going to consider a signal. The timing of the signal will be dependent on if there's any other junctions to my right,
Oh, okay.
or potential pedestrians that might be crossing, so I don't want to mislead them. So I consider when I'm going to put the signal on, and I'm going to take a course. The course will be towards the centre of the road. And for the purpose of this, we'll assume there's no other cars on my side of the road at this moment in time.
Okay.
So I'm going to take a position towards the centre of the road, and I'm going to adjust my speed. On the approach to the jumps I'm going to turn into, I'm already looking ahead to see what's coming towards me,
Alright.
because I'm considering whether I can do this manoeuvre without having to physically stop, or if I can time the manoeuvre, if there's a car coming towards me, I can take sufficient speed off to allow the vehicle to clear so that I can make the turn.
Oh, okay.
So I'm considering a couple of things. Do I need to stop, in which case I might have to reconsider a gear to do the manoeuvre, or select a suitable gear and keep rolling before I make the turn. Again, mirror check, looking into the junction I'm going to go into for any potential hazards, and then set myself up to come round the junction so I'm not cutting the corner. Could make the vehicle there. I don't want to make impact with it. So that got me to 2 minutes. Is that enough?
So, what do I need to do? What's the routine that we're using here?
Use your mirror signal manoeuvre, positioning,
Yeah.
speed, gear, considering that, final checking your mirrors.
You're saying that you're considering the gear, but what gear are you considering? So you need to tell me about it. We're going to do second gear here. Well, this is the first time I've done it. So
Okay.
you're considering it in a much more advanced sort of state.
Right,
We
so,
haven't discussed point of turn, we haven't talked about pedestrians.
right, okay.
So run me through mirror, signal, position, speed, gear, observations, point of turn. And then the speed and distance you did nicely,
Yeah,
but just run me through it in a logical sequence. So mirror, signal, position, speed, gear, when I'm going to look, when I'm going to turn, what I'm going to give way to. So that's good. It's good. Much punchier this
Yeah.
time.
just a couple of key points there.
Let's try that again then.
Okay.
Great on the timing and everything, it's starting to get the hang of that now. You said start.
Yeah, it's easy, I just missed loads of stuff there. Right, so we're going to cover approaching a junction to turn right today.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'll just talk you through how I would do it,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get a chance to do it yourself.
Okay, just start there. So there's 15 seconds gone now. You haven't told me anything about it. Don't waste time. Get into it. Right, what we're going to do is,
Right,
so because of the tight time frame, it's the way you're talking to me about it, it's lovely. And it would dress it up nice and it's very engaging and I'll let it around. And all right, just give me the information.
right.
Bang, just get on with it, bang, bang.
Okay.
I'm not going to say be blunt, but just crack on. Right, what we're going to do is this. Mirror, signal, position. Tell me what you're going to do, why you're going to do it. Let's see how that works. You ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, we're going to cover turning to the right today, to junction. So I'll talk you through what I need you to do. On the approach to the turn, we'll be doing our mirror signal check.
All right, yeah.
Okay. We're going to be changing our course. We're going to take a position towards the middle of the road.
All right.
Okay. On the approach to the junction, we'll be lifting off the speed. We're going to start to slow down.
Oh, yeah.
And at that point, I'm already looking ahead to see what's ahead of me. Okay. So at that point, I'm going to choose a gear. suitable gear to get round the junction.
Right.
Now in most cases you're going to be down to such a speed, 15, maybe 10 miles an hour, maybe even slower.
Right.
So it can be at least a second gear.
Okay.
There may be situations where you need to drop into first,
Okay.
depending on the situation.
Right, right.
So we're looking to do a right hand turn. After we've chosen the suitable gear, we'll be doing another mirror check, make sure it's safe. We're looking into the junction that we're going to turn into, and then we're going to check the point at which we actually do the turn.
Right.
The pointed turn. So I'll give you help with that as towards a reference point,
Okay.
at which point we need to turn the vehicle. And we're looking, just before we make the turn, a final check, no pedestrians that's going to walk out in front of us, so it's safe to actually do the manoeuvre. We don't want to cut the corner, go around the junction, and then we'll pull up on the left somewhere safe and review how we get on.
Okay. So you're getting the thing is running slick, but I think if we focus on mirror, signal, position, which you've not told me about, speed, gear, point of turn. What are we looking for? Which mirrors am I going to check before I do it?
Oh, did I say
Mention
course?
position. Yeah,
Did I say course?
you did. No, that's okay, but you need to let me know
Just
how
get-
do I
okay.
need to apply that. Mirror, signal, position, speed, gear, last look. So of course, before we turn as well, the motorcyclist in me, we need that extra check in the mirror, because we're making sure that there's nobody overtaking us at that point. If there was somebody going to do that, we would hold, keep everybody safe. As I'm turning, obviously I'm watching for pedestrians, anybody else I have to give way to. I wouldn't start that turn unless I know I can finish it. So if, for example, there was a parked car there, and the car coming up here, I will hold my position here. So it's just slick like you're doing it, but make sure we cover everything.
Okay. Try it again then.
You might, click. You might find it useful if you look at that mirror, signal, position, speed, gear, final looks, point of turn.
That's what I tried to do, but I said course instead of position.
That's okay then.
Yeah. Okay.
Go.
Okay, so I'm going to look at turning right at junction today, Bob. So I'll just talk you through the method of doing that.
All right, okay.
So as we approach the junction, first thing we do is our mirror signal manoeuvre check.
All right.
Make a signal, and we adjust our position. We'll also change speed, reducing speed, okay? And we'll select a suitable gear to get around the junction. We're going to be looking at...
So I mean, I like shuffle around in the seat.
Well, that is the...
So I need to adjust my position.
Okay. Great. So easy, right?
It is. And it's natural. We're trying to get rid of some detail, or get rid of as much detail. It's then easy to go the other way and miss stuff out.
Okay. Okay.
So if we're using this is designed to help you.
Yeah.
We're going to change our position just inside the white line here. That indicates to other people where we're going
Yeah.
and what we're doing. Reset. On you go.
Okay, we're going to look at turning right at junction today. So I'll just talk you through what we need to do
All right. Okay.
to do this manoeuvre.
Yeah.
So, first thing we do, mirror signal manoeuvre check.
All right.
Start that routine. So we check our mirrors, so it's safe to do it, apply a signal
All right.
to the right. We put a right hand signal on, and then we adopt a position in the road just left of the centre line.
All right.
And I'm assuming that for the purpose of this, there's no traffic on our side of the lane.
All
So
right.
it's an empty carriageway.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
So we adopt a position just left of the centre of the road, and we're bringing off the speed.
Okay.
Okay. On the approach to the junction, I'm considering the gear to actually do the manoeuvre.
All right.
So I'm already looking ahead to see what may be coming towards us,
All right.
in case we need to actually stop.
Right.
Okay. Assuming it's okay to go in, we'll be looking at the second gear, or depending on how tight the turn is, we may even have to take the first gear. Okay.
Okay.
So we choose our gear. Just before we get to the junction, we're having another look round in our mirrors to see what's behind us, to make sure nobody's on an overtake.
All right.
And we're also looking into the junction that we're going to turn into,
Right.
to make sure it's clear we can get around it.
Right.
There's no pedestrians about to cross over. There's nobody that's actually going to pull out in front of us.
Right. Right.
Once we're happy that we can turn, we will make the turn. If there is anything blocking our way, we'll stop just by opposite the white give way line,
All right. Yeah.
the centre line, sorry, until it's clear to continue the manoeuvre, in which case we'd apply first gear.
Right.
So we'll get round the junction in a safe, convenient place. Sorry, as soon as we turn into the junction, just check our mirrors all round, And then at a point just beyond that, we'll pull up in a safe, convenient position and review the manoeuvre.
Okay. So how was that?
I thought it didn't feel as flowing, so
Really? Okay.
I remember thinking too hard about it.
Have a look. Have you covered everything on your list?
To the mirror, signal, position to centre of the road, qualified it, saying on this instance there's no other car. Reduce speed, selected super gear, final mirror check, looking into the new road, checking it's clear we can actually do it. Probably didn't talk about a reference point to turn. I think that's the only thing on this.
Have a little look at this list. Does that change things?
I think it's every time I put a corner. I didn't use the point of turn, did I?
So you might just say we're going to follow this path. So we need to select the turning point carefully. Too early and we cut over. Too late to do that.
Yeah.
So you generally find that just getting your mirror lined up with this line here, or imagining that line continuing in the front of the car being level with it before we turn will keep us on the right track. And of course as we turn we need to keep our eyes open for pedestrians. And you did say if there's anything there you're not going to complete the turn.
Yeah.
But mention pedestrians as well as the cars that are on there. So it's not bad at all. And if I'm not mistaken that was under 2 minutes, 1 minute 59. So all you've got to do then is flip the page over and just say go to the left. Well, it's the same routine, except we're not shifting our position, we're just maintaining our normal driving position all the way around.
Yeah.
Obviously things that we're looking for as we're turning left, maybe bicycles coming up the inside and pedestrians walking around.
Yeah.
And then you're done. And it's so short, it's punchy, bang, you're done. So you've got room now to add a little bit of detail to that, because you've got it slick and you've given them a logical order in which to follow things. And we're not over complicating things with too much detail. Just it's striking the balance, like anything in life, isn't it? Balance.
Okay.
Does that all make sense? I mean, I know you're going to go away and work on it. That's what you're doing.
It's more, as I say, focusing on this and trying not to think, yeah, but at this point, what, this could happen, so I'll just tell you about this.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing in the world, isn't it? So, I mean, it might help you to just, as you're going through it, just write on there, mirror, signal, position, speed, gear, look, turn, whatever, it doesn't really matter. We've got a little bit of time where we can cobble some resource together if you felt it would be.
It's just finding that happy balance where I'm not looking too much at that, because was it shown that's led me off a different path sometimes.
It can do, it can.
And it depends sometimes on the actual PST. But for some of it just makes sense so as to blank it out, thinking, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Or you just maybe need that bit of a prompt. I mean, just terminology, of course.
It's, I mean, you might play, but think, okay, I know what you're on about that. But you might choose, your position, or whatever, move in the seat. I know it's ludicrous, but they're wanting to make sure your terminology is right.
No, it's fair, because like I say, if he wants to be particularly awkward,
Well, they can. Okay. Oops. So now, where are we? Phase 1. Junctions. Yeah. Everybody's favourite.
excuse me.
So again, we're starting here to get to the, he's a bit more trained than he has been earlier. So the chances are, you might be able to use a little bit more Q&A, but you might not. But again, just give him the information. The trouble with asking too many questions is it can lead you up that garden path. Now if he's thinking, I wish you'd asked me a few more questions, you might be unhappy about that, but he's also balanced. It's balanced out by the fact that he's happy that you've not wasted time on the briefing. Off we go. So again, have a think about this. What do you do? Remember, I've got a bit of a knowledge of MSM. Which you may or may not be able to use. Or you can just give me a one-way lecture very quickly and then get on with it.
So you've got to consider both left and right turns.
Yep.
Unrestricted vision. Okay.
It's LADA, isn't it? Look, assess, decide, act.
So that's something we need to just consider, because on the other ones we've said, oh, we'll take it as read. He's told me what's what, but I just need to confirm that, wouldn't I?
Okay.
I need to build that into the timings as well, don't I?
No, because you'll do, well...
Because he'll say, right, I'm a whatever, I'm partly trained, whatever. But it's a...
That's part of setting the scene.
It's
Just
not
tell me what you're
necessarily
doing.
relevant, yeah.
No, not always, but he might give you little snippets that may or may not help you.
Because pretty much... No, I could have just done setting off and stopping.
If you're planning on using an approach where you're going to ask a lot of questions to deliver the brief, then you would likely need to know a lot more about where he's at already. And if you're just going to give a very short...
That's what I'm just thinking, whether I just say... I'm going to assume because we're doing this, he hasn't done any sort of T-junction.
Well, he won't have done T-junctions then.
Right, so...
He'll have done approaching junctions to turn left and right. Or if he has done T-junctions, it'll be like, oh, well, I had a quick go with my dad, but...
So, if I go down the tack of... Right, I'm just going to go through how we merge at a T-junction. Have you any experience? Yes, no. Or just say, I'll just go through it and talk through the procedure for...
Well, just like you've done before on all your other lesson introductions, so, you know, I understand you're doing this today, that's right, so what have you done up to now? Oh, well, I've done my basic junctions, I've done this, and you get any additional practice? Nah, not really. Or I might say, yeah, I get out about my dad's car, so have you covered any of these up to now? No, not so far, no.
Okay.
I've just been on really quiet roads.
Okay.
But the reality is, if you're out and about doing basic junctions, you can't not do T-junctions. Otherwise you'll end up disappearing up your own backside.
Yeah.
Just keep turning left. It's just not possible, otherwise it would just be ever decreasing circles.
Yeah.
So, again, it's not realistic, but again, it's testing your knowledge of the subject.
Yeah, okay. Alright, well.
Who knows where fate may take us. Off you go.
Right. Okay, so we're going to look at T-junctions emerging today.
Alright, okay.
Okay, have you had much chance to do any junctions at all?
I've just done some basic ones in some really quiet areas, just like turning off the main road.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is just talk you through the process of how we deal with it.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. And then, when you've got a good understanding of it, we'll go out and let you have a practice at it. So, on the approach to any T-junction, first thing we do, as we do with any manoeuvre, check our mirrors.
Oh, right.
So we do a mirror signal.
All right, yeah.
So we're considering those aspects. Now, there are different types of junction.
All right.
Do you know what's meant by an open or a closed junction? Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not really sure. No.
Okay, so if you look at this, basically a closed junction is anything where your vision's restricted.
All right.
So, as in this example here, you get up to the junction, so you haven't got any view into the junction.
Right.
Whereas this is an open one, so you approach it.
Right.
Could be like maybe some big grass areas at the side of you as you approach the junction. So it gives you a chance to see into it, so you can prepare. So we're doing our mirror signal manoeuvre, and then we're assessing what we can do next, and that's based on what you can see, whether it's closed or open.
I see.
So it may be that if it's closed, you're not going to have an option but to stop.
Right.
If it's open, there may be an opportunity that, with care, we can get around the corner without to stop the vehicle. Okay.
Right.
At the point of making that turn, you've got to make a decision. Do you go or do you stop?
Right.
And that will be subject to maybe other road traffic,
Right.
pedestrians or bicycles.
Right.
So as you look into the junction, you've got good vision what's happening. It might appear open, but you may see a pedestrian on the other side. So
Right.
that's going to make you think about what you're going to do next. So that's where you're making the decision.
Oh, okay.
Once you decide where it's safe to go, then you act on that, and you either go or you stop.
Right.
Okay. On various junctions, some will have road signals on, which tell you will have to give way or maybe stop.
All right. I
Okay.
have seen those. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you remember from your theory test?
Yeah.
So if you were to give way, do you remember the sign for that?
It's like a upside down triangle, isn't it?
Yeah. And it'll have the words "give way" written on it.
All right. Right.
Uh,
Tiny.
And can you remember the sign for stop?
It's like a red one, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're stopping.
Is it circular?
Nearly.
Yeah. It's. What did I say? I can't think of the name.
Octagonal.
Octagonal, that's the bullet.
Is it octagonal? Quick count? 2, 3, 4, 6. I don't think 7 yet.
So some will have road signals on them, some won't.
All right.
Could be the light control. Okay. But you will see that on the approach by the markings.
All right.
Okay. Some may just have a triangle painted in the road.
All right.
But the process of doing it is exactly the same.
Okay.
MSN, look into the road, can you go, do you stop, make a decision, then act on it. Just stop a second. I'm nearly there, but I need to add this bit in there too. Those 2 bits.
Okay.
But could you leave it at and then add that in afterwards? Because if you come into, for example, closed one, which
It's possible.
which that becomes,
But I would talk about these.
yeah, okay.
So deciding when to go.
So link that into that.
Yep.
Okay. Reset it.
So you need it. I've just paused it where we are.
What man there?
We're on 3 minutes 45. It's like 90% of the way through it.
Okay. So even if I got to that stage, I think, oh shit, I missed that. Sorry,
Just bring it in there.
I've missed that. Mention it now.
Is that that thing about blink and flip?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably is. So, okay, just something I didn't point out, that when you're at a junction and you're deciding whether to stop or go, it could be that your junction becomes closed, there may be traffic parked on the side of the road. So in that case, you may have to go beyond the give way line
All right.
to get a view to what's happening.
So I'm not a bit dodgy.
We have to be extremely careful. That's what's called creep and peek. So we very slowly move the car forward,
Right.
just far enough to try and give us a little bit of extra vision, as if the cars weren't there. But you're not presenting yourself beyond it.
Oh, I
That's
see.
what we call creep and
Oh,
peek.
okay.
And the other thing, of course, is if you're coming out to the road that's maybe quite busy, then you've got to be aware of distances and judge the gaps as to whether it's safe to actually pull out. Because on any manoeuvre that we do, we don't want to impede other road users.
How do you mean?
Well, by impeding them, that's making another road user either change the speed or change their course because of an action you've taken.
Oh, I see.
So, for example, on that diagram there, cars coming this way, these 2 cars are now cleared, and you'd be looking at getting out before he gets to us. So
Right.
he hasn't had to slow down, hasn't had to change his position on the road.
Oh, I see.
And likewise for this car coming this way, we wouldn't want to pull out in front of him
All
and
right.
make him slow down.
It's tricky, though, isn't it?
It is, but that comes with experience, and you'll get used to the timing and the speed of the vehicles.
Okay.
Okay with that?
All right then. Again, have a look down. Anything that you may add or may subtract?
Well, I'll put it in late, but I've got everything in now.
And then this is the one that might come in handy. If you didn't cover it there, you'll get the chance to cover it while you're out and about, I promise you.
Yeah.
Because the junction, well, you know the area that we're going in is standard, as is being parked right across the junction. But you just go out and say, okay, tell me what you're thinking about here. How are we going to take care of this? I'm not really sure. Right, what we're going to do is, because we're going to have to turn, but we're going to have to be proper careful here. All right.
Well, we did that on that one last week, didn't we? Where you had to years ago. because they are totally that way.
Well, on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay, because you're not faced with a chop. Oh, right. So that's okay. And anything you miss out on here, or anything that you mess up on here, you're going to get the chance to recover. That's how it works.
Yeah. Okay.
Happy with that?
Yeah. Well,
Again, there's still some refining that you can do and some tweaking, and just to get it really. And as we get into these things, I mean, we're going to get the chance to do them again as we do with some of the PSDs. It's just really having them all in the bag where you can just go right bang, and just spit the thing out. Back in the day, when I was first training, we didn't used to bother with Q&A. Just tell them what to do, and then make them do it. That seemed to be something the DVSA were reasonably happy with. I suspect they still are. And it's nice if you can get some Q in here and you can get all this, and it does make it slick and blah blah blah. But I suspect as long as you've given them a viable plan to be able to get them through the stuff, and then you talk them through it, and then you gradually transfer the responsibility to him, then you've ticked all the boxes, and you're making sure you've done what's needed. I'm trying number 8. No, that is number 8. You're pilling. I'm trying number 9. Oh, I've got the wrong way. Stupid boy. 52. Crossroads, approaching and emerging.
So what number 8? Was that 8?
No, that was it. We've just done it. So we've got approaching and emerging as 2 separate pages. Do you think that is 2 or not? What will one do? Tell you up to you. Or is that diagram sufficient for you?
When you're actually doing it, what do you expect it is? I've seen that bit. Now we're going to cover approaching.
Then I would do approaching and then emergent. So it's, if you have a look, that's 32, that's 31. So you start with that one perhaps and then flip it over. Or just use one diagram, or just tell them what you would do. So I would normally use this one and then flip over for the various scenarios. Tell me who you think goes first here, one with this one, one with this one. And he'll either answer or he won't. If he wants to get on, he'll just answer all your questions probably on that final page. If he wants to have a bit more information from you, he'll go on or write you it.
Okay.
Off you go.
Okay, Bob, so we're going to look at approaching Crossroads.
All right.
Today. We've covered junctions in previous lessons.
Yeah, I did T-junctions last week.
So it's an add-on to that really, because we're,
All right.
it's just a different layout where... I'll reset myself.
So he knows how
Just
to
do
do
one.
this and this.
Yeah,
The only new bit here is if he's here and there's vehicles there, which is on the next page.
yeah.
Driving down here,
We're on
past these.
We're purely doing the approach, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right, I just started with
Okay.
things. Okay.
Off you go.
Okay, so we're going to look at approaching Crossroads.
All right.
Okay, we've talked about junctions.
Yeah,
Okay.
you've done T-junctions
so-
and other ones.
This first bit, it's just recognising what is a crossroad.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Do you know how you might recognise them as you're driving along?
Well, sometimes a sign, isn't it?
Sometimes a sign, and can you get any other clues?
Trying to think. Not sure.
Well, sometimes you can't always see it, but sometimes you may see a gap between the buildings, if you're in a house estate, for example.
Sure.
And by observation, you should be able to see the layout of the road. You'll probably pick up on the road markings. So as we drive along on the main road, as shown in this diagram, okay, we may see the white markings opposite. So you're quite right. We pick up on the sign. So as soon as we see the sign, mirror signal manoeuvre, we consider that just to check what's happening. Because on the approach to it, we've got to think about vehicles that may be on these junctions that might be coming out.
Right, okay.
So even if we're going straight ahead, we just take some observation, left and right, just to see what's happening.
Right.
just to make sure that nothing's going to come out in front of us.
Right.
If they are looking like that, then you're prepared, and if needs be, take the necessary action.
Right.
Okay. Just stop a sec. So on this, are we considering as well at this point, if you're coming out as purely on this one, we're approaching and we've recognised it is a
You've got
crossroads.
this to deal with,
Yeah.
and then I would use this diagram
Yeah.
for coming out. So he knows about priorities here, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He knows how to give way to the traffic on this road. He's not sure how to give way to the traffic on this road. So you've dealt with approaching there. You've talked about having a look in.
Excuse me.
Just briefly discuss this situation and this situation.
Okay.
Off you go.
Okay. So we're going along the road, and we could meet up with a vehicle that's going to turn either to your left or turn to your right. So it's shown in this
All right.
diagram here. So we've got to think about how we're going to deal with that.
All right.
Okay, and the best position for dealing with it.
Right.
A couple of ways we can do it, depending on the road layout. We can either go what's called near side to near side, so that's the passenger doors on the car,
All right.
where on this one we'd be doing that.
Oh, okay.
The only problem with that manoeuvre, sometimes you can be limited on your visibility.
Right.
You might not be able to see fully around the back of the car.
Right.
So in that situation, we consider going.
Better go like round.
That's it. That's what we call left side to left side. Okay. And that way, each car's got full vision down the road. You may not have space to do that.
All right.
So obviously, if you get to the point where you're both there, someone's got to decide who's going to go.
All right.
It may not always be possible to do that. So you might have to give way to it.
Okay.
Okay. And usually they will be marked. On smaller roads, again on the housing estates, they haven't got room to white line everything.
Right.
So you may get a scenario with this. Totally unmarked.
Yeah.
And can you remember from your theory what happens with that?
Nobody has priority.
Absolutely. So you just approach it with caution,
Right.
and then if there is another vehicle, just be sure of what their intentions are going to be.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Okay. Stop on that. Sound good?
Is that enough information? You covered all the stuff on there?
Yeah.
Flip it over and continue. Off you go.
Okay. So we've looked at approaching the crossroads.
Yeah.
Now we're going to look at coming out of a junction at the crossroads.
All right.
So just extra dangers to consider.
All right.
Because potentially we're going to have cars opposite. We're going to have cars on the road that are going to turn into either the junction you're coming out of or the junction opposite. So as with anything, before we get to where we meet the junction, we'll have carried out a mirror signal manoeuvre.
All right, yeah.
And if necessary put on the appropriate signal
Mm-hmm.
for all the road users. We may have to think about what visibility you've got.
Okay.
It might be quite closed anyway, but
Okay.
assuming you can see, but we're looking at for what other vehicles are doing.
Yeah.
Key indicators we're looking for are what other vehicles are signalling.
All right.
But be very careful, if we're turning to the left, as in this scenario,
Mm-hmm.
what we need to be sure of that they are going to turn right.
All right.
We need to
Okay.
just consider that they haven't just kept a signal on from earlier.
All right.
So
Yeah.
if you think about that, just be sure that they are going to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know how we might recognise that?
We get eye contact, maybe.
Eye contact. And what about speed of vehicle?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
But if he's travelling fast, he's probably not turning. That's
Yeah.
it, you said, yeah.
So I'm going to be safe on that. Okay. We've also got to think of cars like in this scenario, that are turning to our left.
Oh.
We're doing left turn. He's coming across us. So
Would he give way to me there, would he?
he will. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because he's crossing my path.
That's correct. Yeah. Okay. Likewise, if we're going straight ahead of the junction,
Yeah.
a couple of things to consider is that obviously we won't be applying a signal.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay, but we're going to think about positioning
Mm.
because that can give him help to let him know what your intentions are.
Oh, okay.
'Cause you might just have got a quick signal on.
Right.
So we position ourselves in the centre of the lane, wheel straight ahead, and that will indicate to him that
All right.
that's where we're heading to
Okay.
go. Okay. So he should give way to us, going straight across. Okay. We've got a slightly staggered crossroads on this example, so we need to think about this. And again, we're watching for his position, and again, our position wants to be towards the centre of the lane.
Right.
We're not indicating because we're going to go straight across, albeit it's a bit of a zigzag. So again, he should give way to us.
Right.
We'll proceed with caution. Obviously doing our checks right and left. And what we're looking at, just something to remember, is if it helps you, is roll over.
All right.
So we look to the right,
Mhm.
we'll look opposite, we'll look to our left, we'll look opposite again. Effective observations, and we'll roll back.
Oh, I see.
So we're just
Okay.
making doubly sure and safe.
Right.
Okay? And if we meet one that's coming, we're both going straight across the junction towards each other, again, position towards the centre of the lane,
Right.
again, and then at that point, if we're both going straight ahead, we can cross at the same time. Again, but we always proceed with caution, just
Alright.
making sure that, sometimes we just make sure we get eye contact as well.
Make sure they do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Crossroads, of course, can be light controlled, so you can be governed by traffic signals.
Right.
Some may have a right filter on, which will allow you to get partway into the junction, and then on a filter lane, you'll have a chance to go across while the traffic's stopped. But in this scenario, where it's just green lights on both sides, you've just got to wait till our exit's clear,
Oh,
see if we can go around, and obviously give way to the vehicle.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
To the 744. Lots of detail in there. It's quite complicated on this one. How could you make that briefer? Do you think? If you, I mean, you don't need to, but if you needed to.
I mean, you would just sort of say, well, basically the same applies to every junction. You're going to do your mirror signal manoeuvre, but depending on the scenario, you've got priority.
Yeah. So what you could do is just say, okay, we've talked about that. Let's have a look at some different scenarios. In each case, we're the white car. So who goes first? Who has priority here? Who has priority? What about this one? What would you do with this one? What about this situation? Tell me about that. And it gives them the opportunity to say, oh yeah, like I started, I said, oh yeah, he's cutting across my path, so I've got priority. That's absolutely right. What about this one? Oh yeah, me again. What about that one? Well, I think it's me. Yeah, but it might be easier for you, mightn't it, to let him get out of the way. Oh. And what would you do in these situations if these people decided they weren't going to give you priority? Oh, well, just wait. Good, well then. So that might shorten it a little. I mean, it's nothing wrong with what you've done. Nothing wrong at all. So that's another one that people really struggle to get under 8 minutes because there's so much to talk about if you choose to talk a lot about it. Okay. One more to do. I'm going the wrong way again. It's because I'm not holding it in my hand. So it's everybody's favourite one. Meat and 2 potatoes.
2 veg.
Meat and 2 veg. So you're always going to get anticipation, according to guidance. Let's have a little look at what they say. Exercise 11. Meeting, crossing the path of and overtaking other vehicles, allowing adequate clearance for other road users and anticipation. They're saying select any 2 topics as described below, PST, plus in each case anticipation. So anticipation is always part of it, because anticipation is everything with these things, isn't it? So when preparing the ADI 26 before the start of the test, examiners should not cross out any of the title headings. And The exercise should be introduced in the normal way, followed by one of the 6 phrases as described below. So it's worth noting these. I would like you to instruct me on how to meet and cross the path of other vehicles, and also in the anticipations of the actions of other road users, assuming that I am trained, partly trained, fully, whatever it happens to be. Or, I would like you to instruct me on how to overtake other vehicles in allowing adequate clearance to other road users, including following behind other vehicles, and also in anticipating the actions of other road users, assuming I am. Next one, I'd like you to instruct me on how to meet approaching traffic and overtaking other vehicles, and also in anticipating the actions of other road users, assuming. Number 4, I'd like you to instruct me on how to meet approaching traffic and allowing adequate clearance to the road users and following behind other vehicles, and also in anticipating the actions. Or, I would like you to instruct me on how to cross the path of approaching traffic in allowing adequate clearance and to other road users, blah 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 blah. Or, I would like you to instruct me how to cross the path in allowing adequate clearance. So if you're not sure what he's asked you to do, ask him. Which ones was that again? It's always anticipation, and it's any 2 of the other.
Right.
Meet, cross, overtake, or adequate clearance. He'll combine those in some shape or form. Meet and adequate clearance is an easy one for them to do in this training area because of the situations around. Overtake is almost impossible because we can't get to anywhere where you're able to overtake, because we're the only people doing the speed limits, and even push bikes travel faster than us these days, and there's no milk floats anymore. So you're probably looking at meet and cross or meet and adequate clearance. But watch for it, you might give you an overtake, but it's unusual.
Once you get one of these people that have the disability buggies,
Well, even
have
then,
to drive the road.
on the
then.
road,
Yeah.
we've got to start with.
So that's a consideration. Could get that.
So the overtake one, it's unusual, it's very unlikely that I get, because we don't overtake any push bikes even anymore. We just don't do it. But it's there, slow moving vehicles. It's possible, but unlikely. So that's the page. This thing is progress, as you can see that one. Just phase 2, which you don't get, of course, in phase 1. So have a think about that. We'll say meet cross. Meet adequate clearance and anticipation. Okay, maybe you've got most to collect your thoughts.
So meet, cross, adequate clearance.
Meet
cross.
adequate clearance and anticipation. Meet
Yeah.
adequate clearance and anticipation.
Change that. Okay.
So if you ever think about it, me personally, if I meet and allow adequate clearance, anticipation, I might start from the anticipation point of view. Okay, so
Well, I'm just thinking of just using this one.
Okay, I'll shut up then.
For,
I'll be quiet.
I'll try it and then we'll see.
I'll shut my face.
See. I didn't say that.
You don't have to. Off you go.
Okay, Bob, so we'll look at meeting, giving adequate clearance and anticipation today. When I say meeting other vehicles, do you know what I actually mean by that?
No, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, so we're driving along, we've got another vehicle coming towards us. About that vehicle, we might be part of the vehicle, we've got to come out, we're going to meet it.
Oh, I see, right.
Basically, we're going to be at a point where we're in the path of an oncoming vehicle.
Oh, I see, right.
Okay, we've met it. That's how we're going to deal with that.
Right.
Okay. Talk about clearance and anticipation. Now, in all of these, I'll use this diagram to assist us.
Okay.
Everything's considered by the mirror signal manoeuvre. Okay? We're thinking about what if. So straight away, we're anticipating. So if we use this scenario, here we're coming along this way,
Mhm.
there may be vehicles coming towards us. Okay, so we've got some parked vehicles. So the moment we see the vehicles that we're going to have to go around,
Mhm.
potentially in a meet situation. We've got the wrong side of the road,
All
we've
right.
got potential for vehicles coming towards us.
Okay.
So at the earliest opportunity, we're looking ahead,
Mhm.
seeing what we can see.
Okay.
Okay, so imagine we're sitting here, as far as we can see, we're looking both sides of the vehicle. We're not only looking for cars, we might be looking for pedestrians that's on the pavement
All right.
that may step out.
Oh, right.
Okay. So on the approach to the hazard, reviews for the clearance, we've got cars parked, we've got people around the cars, potentially going to get in the car. So what might we reasonably expect?
They might open the door.
We're going to open the door, so we've got to allow for that.
Right.
So, in a line for that, how much room do you think we need to give them?
I suppose enough room for the door to open.
All the way, or just a little bit?
All the way, I suppose.
Yeah. So, in that, we'll look as far as ahead and anticipate that way, to make sure we've got the room to pass.
Okay.
Okay. So, early vision, we're looking at mirror signal and position.
Right.
Along with our position, we're considering our speed.
Right.
Because whilst we're passing this hazard, we need to drop the speed back, especially to pedestrians about.
Right.
Okay. We've got to think of priority
Okay.
and potentially holding back. So if we're approaching these cars, we've got a vehicle coming towards us, the hazard is on our side, so the vehicles coming the opposite way are priority, because they're on their side of the road.
Okay.
So the anticipation allows us to plan. What we're trying to plan is to be able to go past the hazard without stopping.
Right.
So we can reduce our speed, but the other vehicles get out of the way, so we can go around and sort of time that accordingly. Okay. Likewise, if we were coming the other way, you were the vehicles and you were ready to do the overtake, it might be, whilst we've got priority at that point, once the vehicle's out, there's nothing we can do about it. So we're going to have to give way to it.
Right.
Okay? We don't want to collide with it.
No,
We've got
no,
a choice.
no, no.
So again, we're in that situation. We're a signal, manoeuvre, consider that, ease the speed off, and watch what the guys do. Get him out, let him get clear, and then we can continue on with caution, obviously with what's going on around the hazard.
Right.
Out of roll. I'm coming turning right.
Well, I don't cross me. Just doing meet adequate clearance and
Okay.
anticipating. So have you ticked all the boxes? So you're
Done
second guessing
anticipation.
yourself now because it's not taking long.
Yeah. I can listen to it. Well, observation, anticipate,
You told me about
looking
MSM.
into it.
You told me where I'm going to look. You told me what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You told me about priorities. You've engaged me in a discussion about how much space I'm going to leave if the car door opens.
Yeah.
You might want to add in, well, what if you could go through but you couldn't leave that much space? What might you do? Don't really know. Well, you can go through, but you've got to go through really slow so you can stop
With
if the door
caution.
opens.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you could add that, but it doesn't really matter. You've given me the basics of it, haven't you?
Yeah.
From both directions. You've talked about pedestrians, what we're looking for. And then you've talked about adjusting the speed on the approach. So it's just then a case of going over that again while you're on the move. You know, looking ahead here, there's some parked cars. So what do you think we need to do? I'm not really sure. Okay, so check out, let's take a bit of speed off. Bit more. That's it. This is the speed road. Can we get through before that car? Not right sure. Well, no, we can't. Hang back, hold back, stop here. Right, now that once he's gone, now let's do our observations again. So you just talk them through because you've given her the basics of it. You're still going to have to give them it again while you're on the move. But you do, by using that approach, give him the option of saying, oh, would I do this? Yeah, okay, let's try that and see. If he feels like playing that game, he's probably not going to. He wants to be passive, so again, to test your knowledge. But okay, so how was that? So that's all 10 looked at, and eventually all got under the time. Apart from pedestrian crossing use of signals, can you get that effectively under 10 minutes? It's hard. It's very, very hard.
Oh, try it, won't it?
Okay.
I'll work on that because now I know I can trim it down a bit.
Okay. But do you want to start with that particular PST then?
Well, won't it?
Okay. Splendid.
And then maybe go through the other ones again. And then
Fine. Whatever makes you comfy. Well, we just, now that you've sort of broken the back of that, I think, from a time management point of view, you've now got more time to showcase your abilities with the people on the move. So we'll have a look at some of that tomorrow. The talk through relevant things.
I mean, that's been really useful doing that. But I'm conscious I don't just fall in the trap and think, right, okay, I'm going to assume we've talked about this, that and the other, then sit in the car and think, I've just missed out this massive chunk of something I haven't talked about.
Well, just assume that you've given me that brief, but it was 10 weeks ago. And we're now going to, so I don't need the knowledge again, but I'm probably going to need reminded about all of it whilst we're on the move. So that might be a useful way of seeing it. Okay, yes, I've got that information, but it was ages ago, so I'm going to need reminded about it all. And then see where we go from there. Then all we need to do really, that's it, you can talk it through still at whatever level, and then we just need to look at the fault finding routine and get that slick. And then it's just practice.
Okay.
So good stuff today.
Yeah.
Hard work.
That was
Very
good.
But it's nice to come back in here in the aircon because it's just been stupidly hot.
Yeah.